Hi, this is Anna Imagination. I went through, what was I watching? Oh, yeah, I was watching ScoobyNatural yesterday. So, ScoobyNatural is a supernatural episode where Sam and Dean get sucked into a TV, into a cartoon, into a Scooby Doo cartoon. And one of the things Velma said, she quoted Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes, with when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be truth. And the statement is absolutely a breathtaking one. If you want to see logic in motion, watch or read Sherlock Holmes. It's extraordinary. And I have flashcards today. I'm better prepared. I have a better idea of what I'm doing. I'm still in the process of fleshing this out. And I can't really plan it. I just got to do it and go, ooh, that feels good, and then scroll it down. So this is the part where I should probably, I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm winging it. So I am just kind of waking up and settling. Yesterday was one of those days where it all just flowed in and a lot of things came to fruition. A lot of things came to fruition yesterday. And it was down to even about 2 hours where I was saying something and then it came in. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to get today started. I did something different with Pando. So Pando is my network. And it's in the very baby stages. It's very, very baby stages. And it's basically a space that gives people a place where there's no bullies, teaches people how to identify bullies. And when I first built it, I realized, well, I wasn't sure. I was just going with what felt right. And I love what I set up. But then there is this moment where it felt, oh, that's the wrong word for it. There was this moment where it felt more like a beta group than the original group. So it took some working stuff out, figuring out the best way to handle the group. And I have no tolerance for chat rooms. That is something I could talk forever about my hatred on. The concept of going into a space to give your opinion without any knowledge, education, information, nothing, without there being any rules of engagement, and without doing it for anything other than making sure your ego gets heard is a waste of fucking time. A waste of fucking time. Your audience is a bunch of teachers who stubbornly refuse to listen to you. So you're preaching to an non-consenting audience of teachers who think they know better than you. And you might get somebody who agrees with you, but really the only conversation, if you can call it a conversation at all, is just an asshole who contradicts you because they've got to be more right than you. It is literally the cesspool of I'm more right than you are. And none of these dipshits have any skills in logic. And I've been through this with a few people, and even the concept of what is logic is so lost on people that it's now being discussed whether or not we should even have it. And I'm looking at it going, do you even know what it is? And this question is the same thing that we get with any other subject. You walk into a subject and an academic discipline, and you're not going to get the gist of it in the first hour of the lesson. You're not going to understand what it's about until you get the summation of the whole. But really, and this is something that's not talked about at all. When you study academic discipline for a life and you reach this level of mastery and philosopher level, the subject takes on a new form, a new life that is not even comprehensible to the people over here. And there's a lot of people who will go through 1 or 2 years and they'll think they've got the understanding, but they never even made it to this part. And it's in this part that you understand, oh, this is what it was. See, this is basically all the parts of the bicycle. And some people might put together a wheel spoke and then go, oh, I know what it's about. But then there are people over here who are riding the bicycle. And it's about riding the bicycle. But there are people who have assembled a wheel and they've got their opinion now on the experience of riding a bicycle that they don't even know is a bicycle. So they'll sit there and opine about bullshit, having no fucking clue that they're even building a bicycle. So they'll talk about a car or they'll talk about a wagon. And then when you sit down and they start to understand what it's really about, oh, yeah, you put together a tire wheel. And then to hear what they think of logic is like, have you studied it? And so now I'm at a point where I'm going, and I don't want to teach it. I don't want to teach it because it took me 30 fucking years. And I taught it, or I'm sorry, I learned it alongside psychology, Pythagorean psychology, and linguistics, and theater and stage, and poetry. So, and that's just it, is I want you to imagine braiding something. So I'm going to give you 5 strands, and you need to form a braid. If you are studying an academic discipline solo, or you're not thinking about how they braid together, it's like being handed a single strand going, okay, now braid it. And people can't braid. People have no idea how to braid academic disciplines. And logic is the academic discipline that braids all academic disciplines, which is why you weren't taught logic, is because then you can't braid the academic disciplines, because then you see shit. So I'm watching these really stupid people bash logic, incapable of braiding basic logic. I need to not be around people like this anymore. That's it, really. And I think that's it. Like, I'm going to zoom out. I've been walking through Neanderthal land for so long, looking for a sign of intelligence. And I'm going, okay, all right. So I'm now back at my spaceship. I love spaceships. And all right, what have you got to report? There is no intelligent life on this planet. I did find a handful of people, but it was scarce and very few between. What do you think we should do? Well, if we don't do anything, they'll die. Prime directive? I'm thinking about it. And I'm watching signs at the same time. I see stuff like this online. I'm going to read this to you. Because when I see stuff like this, I'm like, oh, look, there's hope. So I see stuff like this. Equality is everyone getting a pair of shoes. Diversity is everyone getting a different type of shoe. Equity is everyone getting a pair of shoe that fits. Acceptance is understanding that we all wear different kinds of shoes. And belonging is wearing the shoes you want without fear of judgment. Now integrate those. Integrate them. So I'm starting to see where people are making the connection like that. And as they make the connection like that, I'm going, okay, all right, I can see where they are now. Here's the truth. And they got a little bit closer today. All right, they're getting it. They're getting it. They're starting to see all of the components. In your first perspective shift, you are starting to see all of the components. And I'm like, all right, now integrate them. And it's a way I can literally track where you guys are. So I've been tracking your progress. And I also am getting a rate of, and literally media, social media is it. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because the moment someone stands in on social media and starts talking about some of this stuff and giving you a standard, it's going to immediately increase the ethical standard. And I did have something I wanted to talk about today, specifically about what is this? What is this? I don't, da 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 da. Elephants amaze me. Elephants absolutely amazing. So I realized that when I'm talking to people, not talking to people, but in Pando, one of the things I'm looking at doing is abuse proofing. It's a class I do, is abuse proof. And I realized it's better if I just do it here. So I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to do abuse proof here. Now, I love doing abuse proof because, and one of the things that I really want to do is walk through everything that the 12 ethics does, because they do not do just one thing. And it's funny because as people start to learn them, they're starting to realize, oh my God, they also do this. They also do this. They do everything. They do everything. So the first thing the 12 ethics do is backwards, and you're going to have backwards, and you're going to have forwards, and you're going to have little segments. So backwards, the 12 ethics are forgiveness. They are the stages of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not one thing. It is a state of, it's a process. It's an entire process. So backwards, it's the stages of forgiveness. It is also the deconstruction of trauma. I've never done this. I'm very excited. Backwards, it is also reverse engineering. Forwards, it is learning and growth. Forward, it's literally the compass for truth. Applied to the self, it is your moral compass. Applied to others, it reveals lies, deceit, masks, and bullies. Forwards, it is all of the academic disciplines in order. It is the Fibonacci sequence. It's actually the parent of the Fibonacci sequence. It is creation, healing, and evolution. It is the formula for logic. It is love itself. It is truth. It is the 4 cardinal values. We're going to start there. We're just going to start there. So the 12 ethics do the following: stages of forgiveness, deconstruction of trauma, reverse engineering, learning growth, compass of truth, academic disciplines, the parent of the Fibonacci sequence, creation, healing, and evolution. Your moral compass reveals lies, deceit, masks, and bullies. It's the formula for logic, the love itself, truth, and the 4 cardinal rules. Just to get you started. It does much more than that. So one of the ladies I have who's studying traumatic healing, and she's going through the 12 ethics, she's going, oh my God, I can apply it to other people. Yes, you can apply it to other people. And she's like, I can tell when he's abusing me. Yes, you can. That's what they do. That's why abusers don't like them, is because it shows you that they're lying. It shows people if you're being abusive. It shows other people if they're being abusive. So now in Pando, I am literally teaching people how to recognize abuse, how to recognize there's 3 types of people. You've got your A people, your B people, your C people, and how to recognize which one you're with. So it's quite fascinating, especially once you have it all figured out, once you have the algorithm, and the algorithm is not hard at all. So in addition, because it's the formula for logic, you literally have the entire algorithm for the subconscious mind. You have basically a piece of it. And now, because of logic, you have the ability to repeat it and move it over and do a whole lot of other stuff with it. Now, you can zoom in on each and every ethic and you can magnify it out. You can integrate and disintegrate each and every ethic. When you integrate the 12 ethics, you get the 4 cardinal values. When you integrate those, you get love itself. So it's really fascinating. Like the 12 ethics just keep going on and on. It's also the scientific method. That's not on here. It is also the scientific method. So yeah, this is everything the 12 ethics does. Yeah, I'm at this beautiful place where I have so much written material. I really don't need to do anything else. And somebody sent me something yesterday where they took my work and they condensed it into this beautiful paragraph. And I went, I didn't write this. It was written about me and about my work. And I went, oh, that's really skilled. And it was spot on. And I went, I really don't have to write anything. Like there is so much content. There's a lot of content. And I'm looking at it going, wow. And this is one of the hardest things that I've had is, oh my God, I have so much work to do. Oh my God, I have so much I have to write. And so I wrote out so much fucking stupid shit. And one thing that's really bothered me is Triadic Healing Part 1 is not really written out. It is and it isn't. It's in story form. I've got storyboards and I've got a book. I've got 2 books. And I keep redoing Triadic Healing. And I don't actually have all 12 ethics written out in great detail. I have the first one done. I think I have the second and third one done somewhere else. So I really just need to write down these are the 12 ethics, and then plug those in. And I started doing the Radical Global Healing Plan. And I was going to come here, do a video, send it off, but I just didn't. This feels more like a show, just like a daily day show. A daily day show. A daily day show. Maybe I'll do that. The daily day show. I'm going to write this down. These are my note cards. Daily day show. I'll think about that. And while I flesh this out, grow with me. Grow with me. It's really different. And I know I'm going to have like people stepping in and helping me out with the marketing. I already have that under works. And I don't know how long it's going to be. My first thought was 24/7. Another part of me went, and I don't think I'll do the 24/7 ever. I don't. I think I will be I ran a 3-hour show yesterday. So I just don't know. I'm just going to feel it and then look for the pattern. And that's it. You do X. This is how you do it, people. This is how you do everything in life. We need to first put this over here because what the 12 ethics are is really important. And we're going to be revisiting that a lot. There we go. My kids love their privacy. And whenever I do anything, it's like, is the door not in the screen? So, all right. So basically, you do what feels good. And then you look for the pattern. You really want to look for the pattern. And when you find the pattern, that gives you a rotation. People think schedule. You need a rotation, not a schedule. And the rotation in the schedule, the rotation needs to be fitted around what you do that feels good. That's how you build your life stream. And yep, that's where I'm at. This is exactly where I'm at. I love it. It feels good. So the first challenge, because I love doing assignments, I love doing challenges for you guys. The first one, this is what I needed to write down. This is something that I need. This is, I remember now. When I am in between, like, oh, okay, I see components laying all over the place. Lizzie, could you turn on the light, please, sweetheart, after you're done playing with the moose? You know, that makes so much more sense. Do you remember his name was Moose and Squirrel? You don't remember, do you? He was named Moose and Spriggan was named Squirrel. It's on their paperwork. we have 2 cats, and when we adopted them, the adoption center called the Moose and Squirrel. And we didn't even process it. We changed their names to Midnight and Spriggan. Midnight was Moose. What? They were. It's in their paperwork. Do you want to go look at it? It is over there. Okay. It's in my file. It's in my polka dot file. No, it's not my mad scientist notes. It's all the important papers like birth certificates and stuff. It's still messy. Okay. Well, that one's labeled underneath the cat paperwork. Anyway, so we changed their names, and here we are years later, and he's a moose. He's a moose. It's his energy name. So this is the assignment I wanted to give you. Is not an assignment, but like announcements, is pen paper. Do not sit down at my thing without doing pen paper. You can if you want to, but pen paper, because I'm going to be shouting out stuff at you like all day long. And as that happens, that's a really helpful, and also note the time if you want, so you can go back. Why am I telling you that shit? That being said, I'm going to call them scribes. I need people who are willing or wanting to volunteer and just drop me stuff. And this is like you can't, I don't give a shit if you do or not. If you do, great. This is what I need. I need people, basically, this is part of the Pay It Forward program. And the Pay It Forward loan is, I'm here doing this shit regardless. And some people don't like taking without giving. And some people are like, I want to give back. So if you are looking at the Pay It Forward loan, I need scribes. I need people to drop any information, whether it be me telling, hey, write this down. I need you to write it down. Just drop it in the notes. That way I can go back through in the comments and pick it up later, and also timestamp it. In addition, we also have, if you have an Anna-ism you love, if you hear something that I say that you absolutely love the quote for, let me know, because we're doing merchandise and I'm taking my Anna-isms and it's going on coffee mugs and stuff. So I already collect my Anna-isms. So if you hear something that you love the way I say it, let me know, because we collect Anna-isms. Just again, drop it in the comment, and please give me the timestamp. So if there's no timestamp, we probably will not be using it. I don't know yet. So timestamp with whatever. There you go. There's more. Like it's I'm translating it directly. I'm reverse engineering this whole thing right out of the universe. So as I'm reverse engineering it out of my intuition, it's coming in pieces, and then it fills out. And as it fills out, I can go, oh. So basically, whenever I walk into a new space, there is components all over the place, and I have to identify the components, collect them all, and then put them in the right order, identify or locate the catalyst, and then integrate. And that is how you perspective shift. You have to identify all the components in your visible perspective. You have to collect all the components. You have to put them in the right order. You have to locate the catalyst, and then you have to integrate them all. And once you do that, you shift to the next perspective. The components are information. It is realization. It is literally formulas and comprehension of the universe. Universal comprehension. That is what it is. Universal comprehension. That is the information. At every perspective, you are given universal comprehension. Now, whether or not you're looking for it, what are you doing? Some people aren't looking for it. If you're looking for it, it's literally how much you can observe and understand of the universe at your level before you go into the next level. Now, a lot of people think they've got the universe figured out, so they're not doing this. Most people are not doing this because they think they've got the universe figured out. And as a result, they're not growing. So if you know you don't have the universe figured out, you can literally use your mental diversification skills to identify, and this is it right here. You want to use your mental diversification skills to identify all of the components for the universal comprehension of the universe, and then you integrate it and you shift perspectives. And then when you do that, you get to see more components. So as you see more components, and when you integrate it, you get, boom, an academic discipline. You get an entire academic discipline in all of its gorgeous simplicity. And then you just rinse and repeat and you do it with the next one. So now it's like, okay, so now let's go back over this. Oh, look, let's dissect the new academic discipline. So now you reverse engineer the new academic discipline that you got your hands on, that the universe provided to you. And you're literally building comprehension of the universe through the academic disciplines. So you want to know what the academic disciplines are? They are literally the building blocks of universal comprehension. And there is an order of operations that they are supposed to go in. And I have a graph on my research website. onitimagination.com is my research website. And that provides the breakdown of the order of operations of the academic disciplines. That's Plato's curriculum, which is the 12 ethics, and when they appear in what order. And then when you look at my abstract, it's all of them laid down like here they are from beginning to end. I stopped documenting it about 6 levels ago, because by the time everyone gets to that point, this is where it's more manifesting. Is it manifesting? Yeah, it's manifesting. Yeah, it's manifesting. So manifest, I love talking about manifesting. I want to do also a manifestation meditation on this thing. I don't know yet. When it feels right, I'll do it. And I'm definitely feeling close to it. So one of the challenges that we have over at Pando is basically attend abuse school. It's where you can identify abusers. It's where you get to stand up to abusers. And everyone is charged with the responsibility of, you have to confront other people if they violate the 12 ethics. Now, you don't have to, but the more you do, the more other people will. And we already have people who are already doing this. Now, here's the thing. When new people come in, usually every time, this is what goes on. We've got people and they understand how it works. And then we have new people who come in. Now, the smart student, the student will observe quietly in the back. And the new people will come in and they'll throw their stupid opinion around. Abusers are the ones who immediately throw their opinion around, and they're new. Now, there's 2 kinds of abusers. There's passive abuser and aggressive abuser. Aggressive abuser is the one you guys are familiar with. The aggressive abuser is the one who steps into the space and they just shit all over everybody loudly. But the passive abuser is the one who will apologize. They are the ones who will act meek. They are the ones who will be more concerned about your feelings and whether or not they've offended somebody, rather than just talking the truth, rather than just asking questions. And the more a person eggshell walks around everybody else without need, the more abused they are. Now, here's the problem with this. This is why it's abusive. Is because when you eggshell walk around someone, you're abusing them. Because now you are training them that they're gentle and fragile when they're not. If somebody is eggshell walking around you, you are now being abused because you're going, they're acting like A, clearly because I act like B. If they act like A, it's because I act like B. But if I'm not acting like B and they're acting like, now you've got that contrast. So now when you see somebody who's tiptoeing, people start mirroring the eggshell walking tiptoeing. Now you've got a whole lot of people who are more concerned about eggshell tiptoe walking. Now, I'm going to tell you what this does. It literally nurtures an abusive environment, because abusives will come in, and instead of abusives being spotted, they're going to get comfortable. So eggshell walking makes abusers comfortable, and it tells them, oh, they're going to cater to my needs. You've nurtured an abuser, which is why it's abusive. So the passive abuser is the one who's too nice, the one who helps people all the time. Highly fucking toxic. Fucking toxic. So when people come into the space, and what I do is I have a class on the side, and I will teach people using the 12 ethics, watch this, and I'll break down the psychology. They will see it. And then after I step back, they go, oh my God, there it is. And this is the best part. There are people in Pando who are going through traumatic healing and they're healing. And they remember when they used to be like that. And now they're going, oh my God, I used to do that. And now they're understanding C people. C people are the ones who are confident, secure, and healed. So now they're sitting there at C level, looking back at people who are A and B, going, what is wrong with these people? Like, where is their metric on? And this is really what it comes down to, is we all have something that we're being relative to. We're measuring it against something. And this is human psychology on such a fucking level. Every time you make a decision, you are measuring it against something. Do you know what you're measuring it against? Every time you make a choice, you are weighing in on something. Do you know what you're weighing it in on? Truth. But if you don't know truth, what are you weighing it in on? An imposter of truth called a lie. Now, what are you using to measure? So every time you make a decision, what are you using to measure your decision against X? You're using logic. So it's literally logic takes the temperature of relativity to truth. But if you're not aligned to truth, oh, now you've got a problem. Hence the delusion. You've got a lot of people who have lost truth and logic. And as soon as you lose truth and logic, you are not going to have love. You're just not going to have it, because there's a whole lot of physics behind that. There's a whole lot of, but in short, logic, truth, and love are literally the same thing. The reason why logic points to truth is because it's literally magnetized to its own self. It's like, I immediately thought of that paper in One Piece, but the majority of people aren't going to know that reference. It's just, it's magnetism. It's you have something that belongs to each other, and when you pull it apart, it has this draw to go right back to it. So the first Pando challenge is even putting yourself in that space, and then learning. Challenge 2 is learning how to recognize the abusers, learning how to recognize abuse, using the 12 ethics to cleanse your space. And here's the best part about it. Everybody there is aligned to the 12 ethics, and everybody there, like, it's an abuse-free zone. So when an abuser comes in, they're outnumbered every time. When we get an abuser and we get one abuser and no one else. One abuser and no one else. And we've got all these people in there, and it's fascinating to watch them because, yeah, it's really fascinating. Oh, I'm having, yeah. So I'm about to turn it over. Well, I am in the process of turning it over so I can step out of it because I've gotten the data I need from it. And now we're setting up this, so now we can step out. But I do the classes elsewhere. And it is their job to literally purify abuse out of Pando. And that's literally the mission, is purifying abuse out of Pando. And there's a lot of people who are observing it and watching how it works, learning. And it's quite extraordinary. So I had an idea. Oh yeah, that was the abuse proof. And it's all about self-authority. The first challenge covers courage, which is the first ethic. The second challenge covers self-authority, which is the second ethic. So it's literally walking you through those. And I am, yeah. I need to like, as I come up with things, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do a jar. A journal blog. Yeah. I'm thinking about why there is glass on Minecraft. I had no idea there was glass on Minecraft. I'm looking at glass on Minecraft and I'm like, wow, I did not know there was glass. I am, yeah. One of the things I've noticed is, you know, and this is really interesting. This is something I've been noticing, and I have not been able to put words to it until now. I've been looking for these words. One of the newest things I've observed is, how do I put these into words? People will walk into Pando and there will be this stark shock. They absolutely go through the stages of grief. And there is a shock. And then there is a, yeah, there's shock. And then there's like this, it's fascinating to watch. It's absolutely fascinating to watch. I'm trying to explain how it works. All right, I'm just going to try and translate it. And then I'll try and figure it out. I see them get shock. I see them go there and they're like, they're just in shock. And then I see them relax. And then they get another wave of shock. And another wave of shock is when they realize the relativity of where Pando is in relative to where they are. So there's these two waves. And it's fascinating. And I got people in the background who are messaging me privately. So they'll talk to me about it. And all day long, I'll get people like asking me about it. So even though they're not talking directly among themselves, they're talking to me. And it's fascinating to watch. And it's literally, they've put themselves in a filtering system. So you have your observers, and then you have your learners, and then you have your bullies. And the observers, and this is fascinating, is some of them don't understand the rules. Some of them don't understand. It's amazing. They're going, what are the rules? And when we say 12 ethics, and this is back to, I need to sit down and cover the 12 ethics. You know, maybe I'll just do that today. Maybe I'll just talk about the 12 ethics. And oh, that's the other thing. The other thing that the 12 ethics are is the common denominator of all abuse and the common denominator of all of truth. This is fun. So they were, without them, they were literally the 12 common denominators that everybody lacked when there was abuse. And when everybody was happy, they were present. So happy, 12 ethics. Abuse, no 12 ethics. And what else these 12 ethics were was I went into Manhattan and I interviewed over 2,000 people over the last 4 years. And you all told me what you wanted, what world peace looked like to you. 12 ethics. The 12 ethics are the common denominators of what everybody said over and over again, I wish. Those were the 12 most common wishes. So when I compounded all the data, and then I looked at it and went, oh, look, Christ taught these. Oh, look, Buddha taught these. Well, 7 of them. Buddha never made it past the 7th one. And then I went, oh, look, Muhammad taught these. And I saw a common theme of literally in cultures Greek educational system focused around these. Fascinating, just absolutely fascinating. So I'm looking at it going, all right, these are like the be all end all of being happy, people. So, and this is the best part. I'm going to call it, this is the karma part. You get consumption if you don't follow them. The curse of the black pearl is real. The sooner you guys figure that out, the more you'll take this seriously. The curse of the black pearl is real. And it is the consequence you get if you don't do the 12 ethics. Your curse of the black pearl is going to be in severity and relative to how much you're not following the 12 ethics. So I call this curse consumption, the consumption curse. And if you are not following the 12 ethics, you're going to get it. And you have to be a fucking master at these 12 ethics to be completely gone of the curse. This is the dichotomy of good and evil. It's a real thing. And the more love you have, the 12 ethics, the less consumption you have. The less love you have, the more consumption you have. So there are people who are now going, oh my God, I really want these 12 ethics because they don't want consumption. So it's really fascinating to see how this is, how it really is. So I'm going to go ahead, consumption. Consumption is a topic we're going to be talking a lot about. And consumption is basically, well, watch. It's the saying when in the first movie, when Barbados, was that his name, was telling Elizabeth about the more they ate, the less sated they were. The more they possessed, the more obsessed they were. It's a literal stage of possession. It's jealousy, possession, obsession, consumption. And there's 4 stages to it. Those are the 4 stages. It starts with jealousy, and then it moves into possession. No, I'm sorry, obsession first. And then it moves into possession. And then it goes into consumption. Most people are at consumption. And that's it. That's it right there. So once you realize jealousy really bugs me. It's a complex emotion, and I've been through it so many times. It's a cocktail. It's a highly complex cocktail. Which of the 12 ethics is missing that causes jealousy? Courage, self-authority, no self-regulation, it's all of them. Interesting. So yeah. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about, jealousy is one I'm going to be coming back to a lot. I've got placeholders, logical placeholders, and I'm going, I need to go back and replace those placeholders because there's stuff there that's not. I got to figure that out. Jealousy is a fucking hard one. The first ethic was easily the hardest. I call it courage, but it's self-nourishment. It's really self-nourishment, and it actually has a prerequisite. Like you have the pre-ethic, and then you have the ethic itself. And when you're in the ethic, you're actually in the challenge of the ethic. So self-nourishment is basically proving to yourself that you can love yourself. It's proving to yourself that you can nourish your own needs. Self-nourishment. And a lot of people don't know what nourishment looks like. Nourishment is when you get your wants and your needs met. Both of them. And if you don't get your wants and your needs met, you're not going to be nourished. So now you are malnourished if you do not have your wants and needs met. Now, if you don't know, and there's parts to this, the first one is knowing what you do need and want and how to get it. And what a lot of people run into is the red herring problem. Now, if you have a red herring, you're going to have a problem. A red herring is a person nourishing your needs. That would be an emotional prosthetic. And then you turning to other people and expecting them to do it for you. So then you feel malnourished because you're not getting what you need instead of learning how to do it yourself. But if you don't know how to nourish yourself, and there's two types of nourishment. You have your food, your physical, and then you have your mental. The mental is knowledge, is logic itself. Logic is the knowledge. It is the process of obtaining knowledge. It is the how to get knowledge, and it is knowledge itself. It is then repeated in a code in every single bit of knowledge there is. And once you see the code, you will be able to tell the difference between good knowledge and bad knowledge. Good knowledge contains the logic code. Bad knowledge is information and doesn't. Good knowledge will nourish your mental mind and grow you. The other will deteriorate you and rot you away. So you have people who basically don't know how to nourish. And if you don't know how to nourish, if you never cross over into self-nourishment, you're never going to move on to the courage. And I say it's the courage ethic because there is this massive point of, and it's weird because while you're doing this nourishment, you're basically pampering yourself until you get to this point where you're bored. That's a good sign. If you're bored, you're getting through it. And then you have to learn how to, and this is it, you have to learn discomfort. You have to learn how to manage discomfort. And then after that, you get excitement and dream. This is where wonderment kicks in. Now, if you're someone who's always bored and you're never doing anything and you're stuck at bored, and if you toggle between boredom and discomfort, you are most likely stuck in an addiction loop. This is where people who struggle with addictions live, is they're stuck between the boredom and the discomfort, and they go back and forth. And getting through that part of this stage is what opens the door for excitement, wonderment, curiosity, and then vulnerability, and then courage. But if you can't even get through stages 1 and 2, you're never going to get to the courage part. You have to feel vulnerability to feel courage, not fear, dumbasses. Vulnerability. Fear is toxic. It's a poison, and it doesn't even belong in you. It's actually only present when you don't have love, real love. So if you have a lot of fear, it's because you have that little amount of love. And then people are like, well, you need fear to overcome courage. No, you're uneducated on a level. You need vulnerability to feel courage. Courage and vulnerability are what are partnered up together. But you've got to be okay with vulnerability in order to get that point. Because as soon as you feel vulnerability, you're going to feel courage, or you're not. The real courage is you facing your vulnerability. But, and I'm going to point this out to you, that belief that fear is needed for courage, a narcissist taught you that. That's your narcissist school at work. Because narcissists want you to not question fear. So narcissists came up with a handbook where the abuser or the abused does not question X. And one of the things that they have out there is fear versus courage. This is so that when you feel fear, you don't question it. And that's good for them. So now you've got a lot of ignorant walking around going, oh, fear and love or fear and courage are the same. You need no, you don't. A narcissist taught you that. You're parroting a narcissist. And you're so ignorant of what narcissism looks like that you don't even realize it. So fear and love are the dichotomy. And courage and vulnerability are the ones that get paired up. But vulnerability is that feeling you get when you finally have maxed out your mental space of, okay, I'm ready to go out and do. And when you rise up to do, you have to be vulnerable. If you step into a relationship with someone, you've got to open yourself up and be vulnerable to it. If you decide to have friendships, you've got to be vulnerable. If I wanted to connect with you, I had to be vulnerable. And it took courage for me to do that, which is why I do this. This is exactly why I'm here telling my story, is because I went, oh, I got to be vulnerable with you guys. Well, in order to be vulnerable with you guys, I have to step in to the space and open myself up to you and allow the comments after. Now I have courage. Now I have courage. So when you're looking at courage versus vulnerability, and here's the thing, narcissists don't want vulnerability. So the lie they've given you is the lie they've given themselves. Rule number one with narcissists, what they lie to you is actually the self-lie they tell themselves. It's their self-lie. So they're just repeating their self-lie. So now you're picking up their self-lies. You're becoming a narcissist. If you follow the rule book of a narcissist, you're going to become one. And that's where you get abuser A's. The passive abuser is the one who's walking around with the narcissist rule book and enforcing the narcissist rule book. That's it. That's it right there. Abuser A's, and this is why I call them abusers. Passive abusers are people who look nice, want to be ethical, but are so ignorant that they're walking around with the abuser's, the narcissist's handbook. And it's the most mind-blowing thing in the world. It's the most mind-blowing thing in the world. And it's something that I see that I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it, what the appropriate approach. I don't know. I don't know how to fucking do this. Learn, Anna. That's why you're angry. You got to learn. That's right. I'm angry because I got to learn. So what do you need to learn? I need to thinking. How the hell do you approach someone to tell them they're wrong? And what I do is I first off evaluate their value to me, their worth to me, their importance. Do I care about this person? If it's yes, it's hands down. This isn't a discussion. I just do it. In fact, I make it very clear to my friends. You're going to hear the truth from me, whether you like it or not. And if you can't handle the truth, get the fuck out of my fire. And this is actually a big problem that I've had is a lot of people want to be near me until they're near me. And then they're like, oh, you tell the truth. I tell the truth on everything. And then I sit down and give you the logic until you understand where I'm coming from. And unless you can out-logicize me, I'm not going to let you speak because you have to be better at logic to out-riddle my logic. And you don't get better at logic by trying to out-riddle a master. You get better at logic first by hitting the books. And if you haven't even hit the books, you have no business debating with me. That's it right there. Oh, yeah. If you have not hit the fucking books, you have no fucking business talking to me. And oh yeah, that's it right there. And I get really fucking pissy when people are like wanting to not do the work. I hate lazy learners. I hate lazy learners. That's not learning. I have no tolerance for it. So I see these people who are so ignorant that they are literally following the narcissistic's handbook for how to nurture a narcissist. I'm going to do this. How to nurture a narcissist. And there are passive abusers who walk around enforcing this handbook, and they are so ignorant that they don't know it. And when I see it, I'm like, stop enforcing the narcissist's handbook, please. But I don't know what, I don't know how to handle these people. I don't know what to say to them. Because the conversation begins with, you are so ignorant that you don't know that your behavior is literally the how to nurture a narcissist. And you're the enforcer of this book. And they're almost always the first ones to come at me with, well, I'm rude. Well, yeah, that would be the narcissist handbook talking. And now I'm confronted with do I give you the 30 years Pythagorean psychology to break it down? I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. But there is, and this is interesting, is when I see somebody, when I'm talking to people, I can see it. And I can see it in like 2 minutes. It's so fucking fast. It's literally an algorithm with just a checkpoint of, yep, okay, they've got the narcissist handbook. And the reason why we have so many narcissists running around is because we have so many passive abusers running around enforcing their handbook. And the passive abusers need to be the ones to learn to tell the narcissist to fuck off. And I'm still trying to figure out how I can provide what I need to provide on a grand scale. That's my frustration. How do I provide this information on a grand scale so that I only have to give this lesson once and I can just walk away? Now, I already have the narcissist cure, but this is something else. I kind of want to put it in the narcissist cure. I really do want to put it in the narcissist cure, I think, because this is are you a passive narcissist or are you an aggressive narcissist? Because if you're a passive narcissist, we have a lot to talk about. And when you go through the narcissist cure, we talk about it. But I think I need to write the how to nurture a narcissist. Now, they've changed the name of the book. They've changed the name of the book as well. I really need to just do a whole book on just narcissism. And I really don't want to because it bores me at this point, which is why I wrote it all down in my free courses. Like here, go look at the free courses. And a narcissist is a coward and a magician and a salesman. And they have one rule. Oh, good God. I loved reverse engineering the psychology of the narcissist. And their one rule is no one, not even the self, can know that they are a coward, a magician, or a salesman. So, and which is why the majority of narcissists don't even know they're narcissists, is because they can't. That's like the cardinal rule, because as soon as you know it, you're going to see the logic and it will completely undo it. So the narcissist will attack the 12 ethics every time. And if they attack logic, they are the worst narcissist. Stay away. The most abusive of narcissists will attack the logic. There is the narcissist who will attack the equal footing. And then there is the narcissist who will attack the logic. And a passive abuser who supports any of these tactics, you can tell which kind of abuser they're going to turn into. Yeah, I could sit down and just talk about this all day long. Logic proves that they're lying. It proves everything. So the narcissist is a coward, a magician, and a salesman with one rule. No one, especially the narcissist, can know. So now the narcissist's mind will literally do whatever it can to deny. It immediately locks the narcissist in the denial stage. And the self-preservation will defend the denial stage to protect it. Now, when you provide the 12 ethics to newcomers and they see them, the narcissist will immediately attack the 12 ethics. It's really amazing to watch. We do this all the time. People come into Pando, here's the 12 ethics. And then the narcissists go, ah, rah, rah, rah. And it's like, wow, a narcissist. Look at that. It's so fascinating. It's really amazing. Now, depending upon where they go, if they attack the logic, I'm right there. I don't let them, I'm right there watching. If they attack something else, oh, and it's amazing. It's amazing. They will flout their own power. They will become abusive to other members. Now that's when I kick them out. There's no. And it's amazing. And then I've got people watching. It's interesting. I watched how you handled that. That's like, and I'm like, yeah, I've literally abuse proofed it. And now I'm training people so that I can completely step out of it. So they have a denial stage, and then their subconscious mind defends the denial stage. So that if you challenge them, and this is arrogant because they refuse to learn, so that now they are attacking it and they're going after this delusion. This is their delusion. You are dealing with a coward, a magician, and a salesman. Now, they're not going to call themselves a salesman unless they want you to think that they're a salesman, which some of them do that just to hide the fact that they're actually salesmen. I'm going to be blunt. 100% of all salesmen are narcissists. I have yet to find one who isn't. I have yet to find one who is not. Which is why they take to it so well. It's literally a badge of honor. Like it's called a rite of passage, okay? A rite of bully passage. The rite of bully passage is where bullies get to go, where they literally have the ability to bully without question. And that's their agenda, to bully without question. So that if they bully, people won't think about it. To bully without question. So it's literally they want a safe place for bullying. That is their goal, a safe place for bullying. And that is exactly what they've achieved. They have an entire world out there that has given them a safe place for bullying. So they seek out the rite of passage. And the best way to do that is salesman position, authority. Control or power, and hierarchy. That's it. They will seek out the hierarchy, salesman position, authority, and anything with power and control. Which means their primary job of choice is teacher, psychologist, politician, business, doctor, attorney, and anything that leads, a leader. Massive, massive magnet for those, because those are professions that do nothing but flout power and authority. That's all they do. And they are all about the hierarchy. So you either are in a position of power, a position of hierarchy, or a position of absolute control. And suddenly you literally have the world on a silver platter in front of you. Now, the problem is these are attorneys and teachers and psychologists and politicians and doctors and business people and leaders. So now you've got a lot of people who can't identify abuse, are afraid to afraid to confront authority because they took out your second ethic. So the way the abuser works is the very first thing they do is take away your second ethic. They target your second ethic right away. Your second ethic is self-authority. They cannot overcome you. They cannot override you. They cannot delude you if you have your self-authority. Your self-authority is your own faith and logic. So now there's, on the surface, they're taking out your self-authority. But underneath, they're really taking out your logic. That's what they're going for. They are disarming your logic by making you doubt your own logic. So now there's this internal battle inside of you of your faith in logic versus not. And now we're at another dichotomy. This is the code for what's going on underneath it. Underneath it, you're dealing with self-love versus fear. But the code for that is faith in logic versus no faith in logic. And on the surface, they're coming after your self-authority versus their authority. Now, here's the funny part. If you had studied logic, you would know there is no such thing as authority. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Self-authority only exists with the self. Consent is the real word. Consent. So you have the authority to either give or take consent. Anyone who claims they have authority is really claiming they have right to your consent without your approval. Process that. We have a word for it. It's called rape. That's really what they're doing. The way it works is this. Someone who comes along, let's say a doctor comes along. Doctor comes over and he diagnoses you with, let's say, diabetes. Now, are you going to get a second opinion? You can get a second opinion. There's a lot of people who go, fuck that, I'm going to get a second and third opinion. Why do you think that is? Because they decide if that doctor has authority. So does the doctor really have authority? You do. You decide if he's valid or not. You don't have the education? Let's see what two other doctors say. Let's get data points to analyze and see what two other doctors come up with. Now you get 4 doctors and 3 of them diagnose you with diabetes. 1 of them does not. Now you take that data, you sit back and you assess. What are the qualifications of all those doctors? But you also have 3 doctors who said, yes, you have diabetes versus 1 that says no. See, now you are preserving your self-authority. Does the doctor have authority? Well, you chose to go to that doctor. He did not come into your house, put a gun to your head and say, oh, now we're talking about consent again, aren't we? Authority is a lie put there by abusers. The real word is consent. So you have self-authority and consent. And that's really what's going on here. Oh, but they don't want to tell you that because now they have to use the word rape, which is why we have a rape culture. That's exactly why. Is because there's assholes walking around going, I've got authority. You mean expertise. Because expertise is not the same thing as authority. And I'm going to tell you right now, there isn't anyone in this planet who's got an expertise in words, unless they're a logician and a linguistic. And linguists without logic are nothing. You have to have logic and linguistics in order to put these two things together. So expert, and you need to decide who's going to be your expert. You need to decide this. So that's what's going on with self-authority. So the abuser comes along, and the very first thing they do is pose as a faker. I told you, they're a salesman. So they're going to pose as a faker. Now, the biggest way to tell if somebody's a faker is if they talk about their credentials. As soon as someone feels they have to flout their credentials, boom, right there. They are now going, look what I know, instead of just talking. So that's a big, like, there it is. There it is right there. They have a significant amount of insecurity, so they're going to pose that face. They're going to instead give you a mask. They're just going to throw the mask at you. They're not going to have the conversation. They're going to go after authority. That's what they're going to target. This is a very common practice for educators. Oh, good God, is it? It is a very common practice for people who are... It's a very common practice for people who are educators. And it is a very common practice for... I need to take a step back. I just had something massive hit my head, and I went, oh, I just found a way to improve my vetting for Pando. There's no money. There's no money at all in Pando. But what there is just an ethical standard. And I'm noticing that I get a lot of people who want to step into my space because they want more of my stuff. And they think they qualify. And yeah, I need to think about that. So back to the authority, consent. So they'll target right away their credentials. They'll talk about their credentials because they're attacking or fluffing their authority. And as they fluff their authority, what's really going on in that space is it's now about their ego. It has nothing to do with the conversation because now they're focusing on that. And the next thing the abuser targets after self-authority is because they took away self-authority, now you cannot self-regulate. You cannot self-regulate because they've taken away self-authority. Now, the next thing is going to be your boundaries, your personal law. And they are, and this is the one everyone's familiar with, is when you give a boundary and they say no, or they negotiate it. Now, with the boundaries, they do one of three things. There's only 4 responses. There is the over-apologizer. You're dealing with a passive abuser. You have the self-defense cry. They will justify it, claiming they're ignorant. They love using ignorance as a just cause for being an asshole. The next one is they will attack you openly, and they will blame you. Well, you did X. And the last one is they will apologize and move on. C people will apologize and move on. Okay. Sorry if I offended. Anyway, let's talk about coffee. That's a healthy person. The personality A, not personality A, the abuser A will over-apologize, eggshell walk, and cower. Oh, they're totally a slave. They've been conditioned to be very abused. Yeah, they've got abused narcissists down to a pat. They've got that mastered. And the self-defender is going to be your borderline personality disorder, and the attack you. God, this is so, like, I can see all 3 stages of narcissism right there. Like, wow. Wow. So after you get that personal law boundary, the next one is no accountability. They will not ever have accountability, which is where the word, well, you did this. They only talk in third person point of view. They will never talk in first. They are so averse. Narcissists are so averse to responsibility and accountability that they will only speak in third person. The only time they speak in I is when they are victimizing themselves. Well, I was abused. That's the only time they speak in first person. So they're either talking about their abuse or they're blaming someone else. But most of their conversation is all around the trauma and the abuse. So then there's no equal footing. That's where they go after the hierarchy. And this is where they play something in mathematics logic called tit for tat strategy. Tit for tat strategy is what attacks your equal footing. If they play tit for tat strategy, they're abusers. They're narcissists. The tit for tat strategy is appraising you to see if you are a doormat, personality A, if you deserve respect because you fight back, or if you are their equal. Well, it's more like if you're their little bitch. It's is this someone I can abuse? Is this somebody who's my peer? Or is this somebody who I need to fear? And that's really what they do. That is it in a nutshell. That's tit for tat strategy, is they are assessing. I'm going to go over it more clearly, but they are literally assessing you to see if you are doormat, peer, or fear. Doormat, peer, fear. There you go. So tit for tat strategy is when they purposely shoot you down and insult you or challenge you. Or they will insult themselves. The passive abuser will insult themselves. The aggressive abuser will insult you and challenge you. The passive abuser will insult themselves to see if you pick them up because they want to be saved. Like I said, passive abusers are worse. They're the ones who create and make and nurture the narcissist. The abuser, the aggressive abuser, will insult you openly. Now, if you rise up and you get in their face, they're either going to back down or challenge you. If they're going to challenge you, they're abusers. Because now we're arguing and there's no logic. There's no knowledge. This is just petty child shit, which is why I don't argue. Because you're playing tit for tat strategy. I don't play tit for tat. I don't touch tit for tat strategy. So I don't go back and forth. Formal argument and debate is A in logic. And unless you've actually studied logic, you don't know what it looks like. And then there's what everybody else is doing that they think is formal argument and debate, and it's not. That is called arguing arrogantly with opinion. Arguing arrogantly with opinion. AAWO. AAWO. That needs to be the acronym. AAWO. 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 Yeah, it's arguing arrogantly with an opinion. I don't do that shit. So what most people are doing is arguing arrogantly with an opinion. And then those same dipshits will go, oh, look, I'm doing formal argument and debate. No, you're not. Because I know what that looks like because I've studied it, mastered it. That's not it. Which is why no one gets to talk to me. So I'm looking at this now going, okay, all right. Now, the problem is you're ignorant when somebody tells you, oh, well, this is formal argument and debate. And you go, oh, okay. No. Formal argument and debate looks like this. First of all, there's no ego in the room. We're all focused on, let's take one of my projects right now. Ooh. Let's focus on this. Where can I pull one of my projects? Okay, here's one for you. Do I want to do that one? Oh. All right, let's go ahead and do code. So what would the reason be for someone not being able to feel love at a very young age? What is preventing them from feeling love at a very early age? Now, all of the focal point is on the question. So first, you're going to have a question. If you do not have a question, well, you're already failed. You are not in a formal argument and debate. There has to be a question present in order for this to be a formal argument and debate. So the question is posed. There's no ego. It is absolutely 100% focus on the question. And you are open to receive. And you are curious. That is it. If you have not checked off all of these, you are not formal arguing and debate. You are arguing arrogantly with an opinion. So, what would be the reason why someone at a very young age, like 2 to 4 years old, can't even feel love? Now, Occam's razor. So now I'm providing a hypothesis. Occam's razor. They don't know how. They don't know what it is. They lack knowledge. They lack knowledge of love, nourishment, and they're not capable of translating how they really feel. Maybe it's a translation issue. Now, this is where another person would process it in their logic, and they would mull it over and take my words, combine it with the intuition of the universe, and they would mull it over with their feelings, and they would try and interpret it back. And I would take it, and it would lay on the table, and we'd both stare at it. I have done this. And we would both stare at it and analyze it. And then I would run it through my checks and balances. That does check out, except there is a logical fallacy located over here. And then I present the logical fallacy, to which they would go, oh, that is a logical fallacy. So what we're really doing is we are in a maze, and we're hypothesizing over the best way to go. So I would go down this way, and I would come back, and I'd say, okay, I just went down that path, and this is what I found. That's going to be a dead end. It is that's the same conclusion I got. Let me go ahead and take a look over here. So it's exploration. It's exploration. It's absolutely exploration. You have two explorers analyzing a question. That's formal argument and debate. This is why I don't argue with people. This is why I don't touch it. So I want you now to think about every goddamn time someone screamed at you, argued, and then flew it off with, oh, well, I'm formal arguing and debate. No, you're fucking not. Plato and Socrates said, true formal argument and debate is void of all emotion. You are literally exploring and dissecting using reverse engineering and intuition with linguists and logistics to literally carve out a definition while we are curious about answering a question. And we are all focused on that question, nothing else. So prior to all of this, you have to enter into a point of consent to have this conversation. Now, people with formal argument and debate know this. We consent to discussions. Has people, are they asking you for your consent to discuss things? Because this is a really, really big thing. Are people asking you to consent to the conversation? Or are they just hog-tailing you into the conversation, hog-tying you into the conversation without your even wanting to be there? I've seen people do that where they sit there and they're like, I don't even want to be in this conversation. But they don't know how to get out either. And they don't want to be rude. Well, there's your passive abusers again. So, and this is really what's going on with passive abusers. These are people who are more concerned about being ethical than anything else. But they are so ignorant on what is ethical that they're now eggshell walking because they don't know what's ethical. They just want to make sure they're nice to everybody, but they have no idea how to do it. So they overcompensate for their ignorance. That's a passive abuser. Yeah, I could do a whole thing on the passive abuser and how absolutely it's their ignorance in ethics, how much they scream out in enforcement. They have there's so much going on there. So that is, and we're only through the first 6 ethics. So that's what it looks like when you have an abuser. And that now they're going after the equal footing with tit for tat strategy, with arguing. I haven't even gotten into the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th ethic. Like by the time the 10th ethic is emotional fluidity. That's the one where people tell you shouldn't have your emotions. 11th ethic is logic, the ability to literally, the science of truth. And the 12th ethic is no judgment, forgiveness. But the forgiveness process is literally like the entire 12 ethics. It's the deconstruction process of the 12 ethics. And I'm looking at it, and they're also violating the 4 cardinal rules: trust, justice, empathy, true empathy, and I can't remember right now. I cannot remember right now. Damn it, I can't remember. The 12 and the first ethic were very difficult because the 12 ethic goes so fast because you have an integration upon an integration upon an integration, and you can't tell which level of which integration was which. And it's like, okay, I just felt forgiveness, and I felt love, and I felt something else. And, oh yes, humble slavery, consensual slavery. And there you go. Those are the 3 things. The 12th ethic is very advanced. Most people hear consensual slavery and they're like, what? It's an advanced emotion. You don't have that emotion yet. When you get to the 12th ethic, you get that emotion. So consensual slavery and forgiveness and love. It went really, really fast. And you get this with the integration of emotion with logic. So you integrate emotion with logic. And trying to figure out which of those. Love was definitely the last integration, because when it was all done, I went, whoa, and I landed on love, and I went, oh, so this is love. I am in love. It's a state of being. Wow, love is a state of being. This makes sense now. So I know that was definitely at the end. But I couldn't figure out if consensual slavery and then forgiveness hits, if forgiveness was the 4th cardinal value or consensual slavery. And I could not, it was just so fucking fast. And when I went in it the second time around, same thing. It was just so fast. And I'm like, well, those are definitely the emotions, but it was just so fast. So there's that. I want to say there's 3 tiers of emotions. That's what it feels like. There's a temporary emotion. And then there's the integrated emotion. Ooh, that opens a jar. Oh, does that open a jar? Which is also, an integrated emotion is an ethic. An ethic is an integrated emotion. Oh, that makes so much more sense. Oh, that makes everything. That's so everything. That makes so much sense. That's perfect. Oh, look at the logical code. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yep. Yeah, so there's temporary emotions, and then there's integrated emotion, which becomes an ethic. I couldn't figure that out for the longest time. I'm like, well, it's an emotion, but it's also an ethic. But it's an emotion. No, it's an ethic. This is weird. And I've been trying to figure it out, and I just did. So I feel very happy about that. So in 4 minutes, my dear friend Matt and Scott, they do something on YouTube called Mythic Mondays. Mythic Matt and Scott. It is at 10 a.m. Quantum Keyhole and S. Scott Mason. And that is at 10 a.m. And Matt is an extraordinary. He is a master at painting, drawing, art. And they do story, they do myth, they do all this other stuff. So that's now on YouTube. If you want, you can go watch it. I absolutely adore them. So they are my people. They are my people. So yeah, they are my people. So I have, yeah, so that's where we're at. Like, we haven't even gone, that's just how they abuse the first 6 ethics. And as we go through, I'm going to stop there on what abusers target. But It's once I started to break them down like this, and I was like, oh, well, this is bullying is, to be honest with you, it's really a huge forte in my. I love it so much. I really do. So, as in, I love the study of it. I absolutely love dissecting it and figuring it out. My children, my son especially, was severely abused with bullying, and it bothered me. So I was like, my whole reason for getting into psychology like I did was to analyze the psychology of bullying. So everything started with bullying. What is bullying and how to stop it? And that opened up Pythagorean psychology, and I went, oh. So I started reverse engineering everything from the question, what is bullying and how do I stop it? And every time I go back to bullying, it's this massive, it's very nostalgic for me because this is like a really preliminary part of my research. It was decades ago. And oh my God, I loved it so much. Like, I loved the study of it. It was the most fascinating, beautiful thing that unfolded. Like, that's how I found mimic mirror repetition response, all of it. And I'm like, oh. So basically, when you have a bully, you either bully equal footing or you bully like this, down from. You never bully up. I mean, you can, but that doesn't go well. As soon as somebody tries to bully up, they're slammed down. And when they're bullied face to face, usually there's a standoff and they get pushed back. But when you're bullied from the higher up, that's when there's a problem. Because now you've got somebody, first of all, there's no consent, there's no authority, and now the person becomes enslaved under that authority, the delusion of non-consent. And that's, again, really it. They didn't abuse you from the upper hand. It was non-consent. And when you look at the 7th, 8th, 9th ethic, that is when power economics kicks in, and that's when human circuitry begins. Human circuitry begins at the 6th ethic, when you consent to stand on equal footing with someone. And the 7th, 8th, and 9th ethic are all about receiving and transmitting and developing a consensual human connection through emotional transactions. So I refer to this as an emotional transaction of human connection. Now, without equal footing, it's non-consent. It's rape. So what's really going on every time you interact with someone was it consensual or non-consensual? The human connection itself has to be consented to. And this is the problem. Was your human connection consented to? Now, that's an easy one if you're looking at molestation or rape. But what about the conversation with the asshole on Facebook who you don't want to talk to? As soon as they give you words, did you consent to that? That's why we hate cold DMs. That's why we hate sales calls, is because we are in a transaction, a human connection with someone we didn't want. We didn't even get a chance to consent to it, which is why I don't answer my phone, because I didn't consent to the connection. They can call, but I'm sure as fuck not going to answer unless I know who's on the other line. And that's like at the core of all of this. When you put your stupid opinion out there on Facebook, you just non-consensually threw it out there for a bunch of people who are going to read it now without their own consent. Now, the only way to really prevent this is don't go on Facebook. So you step away from Facebook and you decide not to look at comments. You decide not to read comments because you haven't consented to the garbage that's out there. If you do decide to read it, you could argue that you are, yes, consenting to go through it, but you're consenting to put something inside of your head that you don't even know what quality you're putting into your head. That's like someone handing you a plate of mystery food and said, here, eat this. Would you eat it? Because that's what you're doing when you're reading comments. You are literally putting yourself out there to be open to receive something and you have no idea the quality. Now you got people who, when they read something that they don't like, they immediately feel oh, I love this part. This is my favorite part. They feel the logic contradict their own logic. Neither one of them has truth. And all they know is they have a feeling of, that doesn't feel good. I need to fix it. It's called cognitive dissonance. So now they blow up and they immediately have the impulse, because you're in a PTSD trigger now, to respond. So now you get into the conversation and you respond because you got to correct their logic because it hurts you. This is you feeling logical fallacy. This is you feeling lie itself. The problem is, are you calibrated to the truth? I am. I can prove it. I teach people how to calibrate themselves to the truth. But if you aren't calibrated to the truth, then you're going to read shit and it could be truth and it might not feel good because your calibration is wrong. So you got to make sure you're calibrated to the truth. Are you? How do you know? Now, the majority of assholes will cite the great credentials of the US government system as if this is something to be impressed about. I have no idea why this at all is a standard, because it's not. So, in fact, just to give you an idea, all of those people out there in Wonderland who are not calibrated to the truth because they're that ignorant are products of that educational system. So clearly that educational system, are you calibrated to the truth? How do you know if you're calibrated to the truth? And the more you learn about the truth and how to find the truth, and you do that through logic, the more you can literally align your logic with truth and it matches up. And as a result, you get more love and ethics as a consequence. So you actually get the reward of love and ethics as a consequence to logic and truth getting you closer. So and one of the things I see a lot of is abusers coming in and people will be all like, oh my God, I can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel lies. You can feel logic. You can feel logic. You can feel logical fallacy. And it's absolutely fascinating to me to see how it unfolds. I was playing around with words yesterday and I noticed that arrogant and ignorant are almost identical. We say ignore from ignorant, and you can have an ignorant. You can also have an arrog. I think arrog should be a word, an arrog, somebody who is arrogant. And it amazed me how close arrogance and ignorance are like on the same thing. And then opinion is like right there in the middle of it. It's arrogant, ignorant, opinion. You're a dumb fuck. You're a dumb fuck. And that's what I see over and over again. If somebody says, it's my opinion, oh, you're dumb. You're dumb. The minute you're using the word opinion, you're stupid. Look up the word opinion. The word opinion means making a belief without knowledge. So opinion is ignorance, that you're boasting. You're bragging, ignorance. You say opinion, I say, do you know you're bragging your ignorance? You're literally flashing it around and you're proud of ignorance. So opinion is pride of ignorance. So when I tell people they're ignorant, truth, and can prove it, they get all pissy. And I'm going, look up the word opinion. Look up the word ignorant. You are proud that you're ignorant. So I'm going to call you ignorant if you're going to tell me you have an opinion. Because if you actually look up the word opinion, you're going to go, oh, gee, and here's the thing. You're going to think that your opinion is so special that your ego is going to fight for, well, now you're arrogant. Because now you're not learning. Look up the word arrogant. Look up the etymology of the word arrogant. And the common denominator of arrogant is, look up the etymology, refusal to learn. It's absolutely amazing to me. And I know so much about the equal footing and equal footing. Yeah, it means to claim. Erogare. Erogare. to claim. But it also got distorted, and they changed the meaning of it because abusers do this. Let's look up. I hate it when abuse. If a word has multiple definitions, that's a red flag. Arrogate, English, Old French, erogare. And this is it right here is, if it's true, it's not arrogance. That is it right there. If it's true, it's not arrogance. So yeah, it's that thing I saw over and over again of arrogant, ignorant opinion. And every time I see somebody boasting an opinion, I'm just like, wow. Literally, they are so ignorant that they are bragging ignorance without knowing it. That's opinion. So, and they throw that in there as a defense to placate abusers so they don't get abused. That's why they do it, is to literally feed the abuser to protect themselves. And that's the kind of bullshit that abusers use. This is where abusers, and this is such a fucking hot mess because of the mimic, mirror, repetition response and how the abuser is in their own little world about them. And then the passive abuser mimics and mirrors the abuser and adopts their habits and does so in defense. So you're literally turning into a narcissist. And you're so terrified because the narcissist has abused you so much that you are now advocating for the abuser. So, and this is why I say passive abusers are so dangerous, is because they are the abuser's advocate. And they don't even know it. So here's my question for you. If I see someone like this in my space, is it my responsibility to say something? Do I just kick them out? Now, the argument's going to be, well, are they hurting anyone? Yeah, they are. Because they are literally nurturing the narcissist handbook inside my space, passing it on to others who are trying to learn. So this is a really interesting, this is a fascinating, let's talk about this. And I almost want to sit down with this person, get them into a podcast where we just sit down and we talk about it. And it's like, let's rip it apart. Because I'm going to show you, and this is it right here, is I will take a single paragraph that somebody has said that looks sweet, nice, inviting. And I'm going, wow, that's riddled with narcissism. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people who are going, oh my God, I would love this. And I'm trying to figure out how to teach it. I'm trying to show you how to do it. I'm trying to break it down. Really, I need volunteers. I need an example where I can sit down and then psychoanalyze it. Now, it's not ethical. I will not do this. To take that example and show it on I won't do that. That's so fucking disgusting and dirty. I won't do that. So I need somebody to consent to this. And I'm sitting here going, how can I do this? The thing is, and I think this is it really. Maybe I'm going to do a whole Dr. Phil thing where I'll sit down and I'll break it down and I'll show you. Yeah, maybe I'll do like a Ask Anna. That might work, like a Dear Abby. But I'm going to spend more time breaking apart your language than your problem. Because your problem is your language. It's your mindset, not your problem. So I'm not going to sit there. I think I'm going to do this. This would be actually really awesome, is doing an Ask Anna. You can leave it in the comments. And if you want it private, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because I'm going to be using it and I'm going to be blessing it over here. So leave it in the comments and let me know somewhere, like also add, yeah, you can use this to break it down. And I'll break it down for you. But I'm going to tear apart your mindset and your language. I'm not going to talk about your problem, because your problem is not you, or I'm sorry, your problem is not your abuser. Your problem is you and your mindset and your language. That's always where all abuse is the problem, is the language and the mindset. And the order of operations is what came first, the language or the logic? Why is this doing this? I need another one of those. Just my coffee cup keeps sticking to my coaster, and it keeps, and these are not like, these are stone. So I'm like, all right. Yeah, I just moved it over there. It was sticky, and every time I picked it up, it would like stick to it. They need to be washed. Thank you. This one too. I will scrub them, please. Huh? So yeah. So this is where I'm trying to figure out. Right. So logic, linguistics. Well, I would say linguistics is the tool. Yeah, and I can see it. I can see it. I'm reverse engineering logic. I've never done this. I mean, I've done this, but not like this. Not on purpose, but this. I'm excited. What is this? I'm going, what is it? What is it? I'm trying to summarize all of logic in a single sentence. It is both the process It is the process. And you can use word, well, anything. It doesn't have to be just word. It's anything. It is the process of integration and disintegration. Yes, logic is the process of integration, disintegration. Logic is the process of integration and disintegration. It is the full process. It is the order of operations. It is the laws that apply it to it. It is all of it. It is literally integration and disintegration. It's present in 100% of everything that we are. Logic is the integration and disintegration of life itself. So when dumb fucks tell me that you don't need logic, well, you are that stupid, because you are integrating and disintegrating as we speak. Everything integrates and disintegrates. Everything integrates and disintegrates. And logic is that process. We are here in existence because we've integrated and disintegration. It is both morphology and evolution. It is the process. Yep, it is the process of both morphology and evolution. Evolution integrates. Morphology doesn't integrate. It just stacks and builds, but it doesn't. I'm going to have to play around with that a lot. It doesn't integrate, though. It does not integrate. It's a chain. Yeah, morphology is very interesting. So, yeah, I'm going to have to spend more time on that. So that's it really right there. And an abuser attacks your integration and disintegration. They attack your logic. And if you don't know logic, you are so fucking vulnerable. So I watched ScoobyNatural yesterday, and I was blown away. It was so funny. So this cracked me up. Watch the show Supernatural, but it's the episode ScoobyNatural. You do not need anything prior to this episode. You just need this episode. And basically, they go into a Scooby-Doo episode. And in every Scooby-Doo episode, in case you haven't watched Scooby-Doo, it always looks like something supernatural, but it's always logic and science. So there's this whole ghost hunt, and it's never a ghost. It's always some asshole. And in every supernatural episode, it's never a real person. It's always a ghost. And so they flip into it. They go into both. And in the Scooby-Doo episode, it turns out to be a real ghost finally. And in their lives, in the live action world, it turns out to be just a guy for the first time. But there's this moment where the boys have to explain to the Scooby Gang that ghosts are real. And I'm watching this and I'm going, it's like a bunch of six perspectives trying to convince a bunch of foundationals that magic and spirituality is real. This is fascinating. And I watched them. First, they told them. This is the timeline of the episode. Sam tells Velma, ghosts are real. She denies it. No, they're not. No, they're not. And she blows it off. And I went, oh, look at that. The fourth perspectives are there. And then she calls him names. And I'm going, interesting. She attacks him. And then he says it again. And she gaslights him. Velma gaslit Sam. And it went fascinating. It's part of the denial process. Gaslighters are in denial. Fascinating. And then at the end, they finally say, we really need to tell them. Okay, let's tell them. So they tell them, look, they got three of them now. They got Castiel, they've got Sam, they got Demon. They're all sitting there going, ghosts are real. And then we watch all four of them have, this is the best part, an existential crisis. But they have their own type of existential crisis. Fred goes, I'm such a loser, and he immediately turns in on himself. So that's your first type. And I went, wow, that's your first type of existential crisis, when you attack the self. The next one is, oh my God, I have a full lack of understanding of the entire universe. Yep, that's where I was. That was mine. And then the next one was, where is my point of relativity? I love the point of relativity being lost. That is the existential crisis. And then you get to Shaggy and Scooby, and they go, I told you. And I went, yes, the abusers. Yep, there it is. There's the victims going, So you got the victim point of view, you got the abuser point of view, you got the whole, I have lost myself and the point of relativity. And then there's whole, I don't understand the universe anymore. It was fascinating. And then their entire character and personality changed. And I'm looking at that going, fascinating. We just got to witness 4 different variations of the existential crisis taking place. Fascinating. And then something happened. They were so distraught that they couldn't even function. And they gave them a pep talk, which was courage. And I went, son of a fucking bitch, you can't do the 12 ethics until you have an existential crisis, which means you need to have an existential crisis to even consider the 12 ethics. And then I sat back and I looked at myself. And well, clearly I had existential crises at 4. I had them at 5. I had another one at 15. I had another one about a week ago. So I'm going, oh, you need to have existential crises in order to open the door. And all we do in existentialism, it's a branch of philosophy, is study existential crisis. That's all we do. You study existential crisis. It's like the mastery and the science of the existential crisis. So once you study the existential crisis, then you walk into the world of the metaphysics. This explains why in philosophy this is in order, is because first you have philosophy, which is where all of that's like intro. We're just going to talk to you about logic and how to. I see. Thank you, Plato. Because you're going to, on purpose, instigate the existential crisis. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to do it on purpose. And you have the building blocks right in place. But before you do that, you require logic to get through the existential crisis. You're having a bunch of existential crises without logic. Oh, that's dangerous. And then after that, you step into the metaphysical, called metaphysics, which is a branch of philosophy. And then after that is ontology. There is one more beyond that, at least. I can feel it. I can feel it. Yeah, how do I say that? I can feel the next stage beyond ontology. I can feel it. It's there. I'm very excited. That's going to be like Triadic Healing Part 4. That's why I have Triadic Healing Part 4, is to start documenting what's beyond ontology. I don't even have a name for it. I'm not there yet. I can just feel it. Oh, I can feel it. Good God, can I feel it? So, and this is it exactly, is you've got your logic, then your existentialism, then your metaphysics, then your ontology. And the only way you can pass through these, and here's the thing, is when you go through the existentialism, that's when you open the door at the seventh ethic. And then from there, you go through the metaphysical transformation. I would say the sixth ethic. There you go. That is it exactly. That is it exactly. And then, yeah, it was amazing to watch this episode. It was absolutely amazing to watch the episode. And what's going on basically is you have the fourth perspectives, you have the foundationals, and they are so far in denial. And that's just it. They are absolutely in denial. They're going to have an existential crisis. But if they don't do the preliminary work, they'll never get there. But you've got a lot of people now having an existential crisis. A lot of people having existential crisis. And instead of studying philosophy, they're running to chakra stones. And this is the part where I'm just going, and that's it right there. My space is for the people who actually want to go to existentialism, metaphysics, and then ontology. And then you've got people going, oh, metaphysical. And I'm going, have you studied logic? Have you studied existential? And what are you doing? And this is, so I think what I'm trying to do is sort out the insanity of the insane. And I need to not do this anymore. I think that's my problem, is I'm going about this the wrong way. I think I need to be doing this on my side, just going my way with it. And I'm still, and this really is it, is I get people who come to me with the spiritual stuff, and I'm like, how many years of philosophy do you have? You know what? I'm going to do my Rick Grimes questions. That's what I'm going to do. My Rick Grimes questions. All right. It's going to be, how many years of logic have you studied? And then it's going to be, how many years of Plato? Should I say Plato, Pythagoras, philosophy? Let's go pre-Socratic. Pre-Socratic or Greek philosophy. Greek philosophy have you studied? You don't need any other philosophy other than just Greek philosophy. I'm going to tell you that right now. Everything after Greek mythology is just repetition. It's repetition. And it's just repetition. If you're studying things beyond ancient Greece, you're wasting your time and you miss the point. you're not in philosophy. You have to be in philosophy to study it. And if you're on the outside studying about everything after pre-Socratic, you've missed the point. No, you're not in it. It's the difference of you're going to lay on top of the sleeping bag. Okay. Are you going to go in the sleeping bag? So yeah, that's it. How many years of logic have you studied, and how many years of Greek philosophy have you studied? And based off of that answer is going to be am I even going to talk to you? Because that's where I'm at. I got to figure this out. Oh God, I hate figuring this out. This one is so hard. Maybe I'm doing this I am doing it the wrong way. All right, let's clean the slate clean. Just pull back all the way. When you are this off track, it's a matter of let's sit back and analyze a different way of doing this, because what's going on here? Look at the destination. Look at the destination. The destination is my thing here on his lounge. And this is what I was trying to do yesterday, was put everything together, and I just couldn't. I saw way too many different components. I'm looking for the ratio. And that's something I'm looking for, is the ratio. And that's something that's not been easy, is to figure out the right ratio. I have the topics. I have the agenda. Yeah. I feel like I need to draw an outline of this and sketch it out. And I'm really, this is one of those things where in acting, it doesn't matter what mood you feel, you have to turn on a mood and step into it. And this is why I don't do that kind of acting. And then there's going to be people who say, well, that is acting. Yes, I know. And it's a lie. And I can't do that. And it's not a lie. That's the job. I know. And I can't do that. That's why it's called acting. I did it once, not once, many times, where I've done it many, many times. I do it when I write my books, where I will write a sequence and I won't feel a certain way. So I will utilize my emotions and then I will execute. The problem is, if you can call it a problem, is after I healed, I lost the ability to just grab whatever emotion I had on hand to use it, because I don't have emotions on hand anymore. So you have to be in the mood, in the mindset, and it's literally a mastery of your mindset to walk into it. So I did a whole lot of mastery of my mindset to step into it. And here's the problem. My agenda is raw, real authenticity. And the minute I start putting on emotions to put on a show, it's not real and authentic anymore. As soon as I start changing my authenticity to accommodate a mood, and that's just it, is authenticity comes before the mood. This is what we were talking about with logic, is there's an order of operations. And if you're not following the order of operations, it's going to fuck you up. It's absolutely going to fuck you up. And there is so much to cover. And at the same time, I've already covered it. I've already covered it. There isn't anything new here that I haven't already said on my course. And when I find something new, I go and I build the course. So I'm still in the mindset, and I think this is my problem, is I'm still in that mindset of teach, teach, teach. And I'm like, no, I want to turn that off. I really need to turn that off. And all I have done for 2 years is teach hardcore shit. And I don't want to do it anymore. I don't have a problem with doing the discussion and the dialogue, but I am very select on who are allowed to do that with me. So the hardest part that I've had with all of this is trying to figure out where I fit. Because, and this is it, is there's no category for this. There's no, I look at something and I see entertainment, I see education, and I don't want to be in the education realm. I fucking hate it over there. If you are in the educational realm, and this is it right here, is the minute you abandon DIY education, you've compromised your second ethic. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You cannot have a teacher and the second ethic at the same time. You can't do it. You cannot do it. The minute you have a teacher, you have violated the second ethic. And if you can outlogicize that, well, there are prerequisites to having that conversation with me. Complete the prerequisites and then we'll talk. But bottom line, a teacher violates the second ethic. You cannot have both. And every goddamn time I taught, I felt that. And I think that's why I was so angry, is because I was violating my own ethic. And I knew it. And I'm transferring this information over. And I'm going, I shouldn't be transferring this information. You should be in the 12 ethics going to do it yourself and discovering it for yourself. And there are people who are, and I just had to, and this is it right here, is I can tell you how I experienced the 12 ethics. But, and the minute you put somebody as an authority figure, you have now taken away your own second ethic. Like, there is no getting around this. You cannot have a teacher and the second ethic. They are absolutely incompatible. And if you take away the second ethic, you actually are no longer in a student mindset. It is the greatest logic loop. And that's what I'm trying to say, I think, is there is a logic loop happening with teacher and learning. And the education is so shit because of this logic loop that's being violated, that people aren't learning because there are teachers present. Teachers kill learning. They destroy it. And that's because the teachers don't understand what learning actually is. And you've got a bunch of people who are so ignorant on education, learning, and ethics that they are scared, going, oh, well, how will we learn without teachers? Really? So I cannot ethically teach anymore. I just can't. It does not feel good to me. That's why I call it role model. And it's you picking up a book and deciding what to read. It's you exercising your authority. If you have not exercised your authority to learn, then you're violating the second ethic. And real learning is done through skill. All learning is done through skill building. It's not done by listening to me. Look at Edgar Dale's Cone of Learning. So I'm looking at it going, okay, so 90% of what they learn has to be done. So I and I'm looking at the Radical Global Healing Plan and I'm going, it is a DIY challenge. It is a DIY challenge. That's something else that I started yesterday that I love, was the Truth Purge Challenge. The Truth Purge Challenge. That is something we're doing. And I'm also running Boycott the Unethical. That's a big one also. Hashtag Boycott the Unethical. By boycotting the unethical, you teach them what is allowed and not allowed. Boycott the unethical. It's the most powerful tool you have to fight abusers. Boycott the unethical. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do all of this. I'm trying to figure out all of it. I'm going through my own truth purge, telling my story. And I feel like I'm definitely there where I've got the playground over here, but every time I teach, I step away from it and I'm like, what are you doing? And I fucking hate doing that. And I probably need to just go back on yesterday's video, rewatch it, and see where I nailed things, had it figured out. And I thought about what all these people on the variety show do, all the skits they do, how they do a little bit of everything, and I'm struggling. I'm finding my own way. And this is what it looks like. This is exactly what it looks like, is putting yourself out there, doing it and seeing what works, what doesn't, and then stepping back and analyzing. And I just, yesterday I had it all down. The groove was perfect. Today, I'm just not feeling it. I mean, I'm feeling it, but I'm not finding the right, I feel like I'm backwards and I'm looking down this maze and I'm like, I'm facing the wrong way. I'm definitely facing the wrong way. And I just don't know what is the right direction. And I keep just like moving my intuition around. I'm not asking the right question. I know that's part of the problem also. And I don't, good God, this is just, let's just try meditation. Oh, see, when I meditate, I go right into the abstract. Like as soon as I'm like, I'm in the abstract and I'm like, whoa, I don't want to be in the abstract right now. I mean, not that far deep. Today feels like a philosophical coffee episode. And another part of me feels like I'm running out of, well, things to say, which is fantastic. And I feel a lot calming down and shutting down. You know why? I think it's because I'm 45. I think it's because I'm finally aligned and I'm like, all right, I got 1 year to be in this perspective. That would be nice. Being in this perspective for a year would be nice. Maybe until it's boring, I'll figure it out. I'll wing it. But that's I think that's it exactly. Is I pursued this. We're back to telling my story. And that's really, I think, what I need to stick to is telling my story. And every time I stray off from telling my story, that's my problem. I need to stick with telling my story. And it was a learning journey. But I was the subject. And this is it right here that no one wants to tell you. So this is you know what? You've got the narcissist handbook of bullshit, and I need to just come up with the opposing, the handbook of truth. There you go. I'm going to call this the handbook of truth. And I'm going to do like a whole right down the middle of the handbook of narcissism. So at the handbook of truth, there is no arrogance. Arrogance does not exist here. There is only learning and not learning. There is no, you're either learning or you're not. And if you're not learning, well, I am learning. I'm learning over here. I'm learning over here with my teachers. And there's no hierarchy with arrogance. There's no hierarchy with arrogance. And that's really it. Is over here, the handbook of truth, there is no hierarchy with arrogance. So what you're doing is either learning or you're not. And these are my lessons. My lessons are %100% of all learning is about the self. You're the real academic discipline here. You are the academic discipline. But in the handbook of narcissism, the self has nothing to do with your own education. And I think that's what I need right now, is I think I need to just really talk about the handbook of truth versus the handbook of narcissism. And I'm going to have them side by side to show you, because this is really it. This is the summation of everything I learned. Learning is about you. Don't ever let anyone tell you differently. Narcissists are lying to you. Your learning is all about you. It's about you discovering the self. You are the academic discipline. Now, how you discover the self is music, is drawing, painting, dancing, singing, is reading, writing, is, you see? You are the academic discipline. You are. This is all about you. So that's the first thing I learned very, very early on, is my education is about me. This was something I never, ever had. It's about me. And your education is about you. But the narcissist makes their education all about themselves. And you have nothing. They have removed the self from the educational process. And that is one of the things, this is officially the what your world looks like to an abstract citizen. What am I? What? An abstractite. Am I an I sound like a mineral. Abstractite. Ooh, I like that one. Abstractite. Ooh, I could be abstractite. We're going to do this. Or am I could be an Indian, abstractinian. I could be an abstractian or an We could be an abstractor. Ooh, I don't like that. That's ugly. No, we're not going to be an abstractor. Okay, so an abstractite, which really sounds like an element or a mineral. Or we could be an abstractian. An abstractian or an abstractite. Could be an ein, could also be an ein. Abstractine. No, I don't like that. No, we're not going to be an abstractine. Could be an ish. Could be an ish, an abstractish. Abstractish. That sounds like someone can't make up their mind what I am. Well, you're abstract-ish. You're ire-ish. You're spanna-ish. What is this ish? No, I don't want to be an ish. No. So I'm an abstractian or an abstractite. Now, abstractite sounds like a Mennonite. I have no idea what that is. I'll have to look up that word. But an Alexandrian Abstractian. So one is very Middle Eastern. The other is very Grecian and Roman. Canaanite. Yeah, the ite is the abstract. Okay. So, and I got way too much Greek on my brain, so I probably should go abstractian. All right. So I'm an abstractian. So this is it right here, where I'm looking as an abstractian at your world going, your learning is all about you, right? You are the academic discipline. You are the academic discipline. So that's the first one. Like, I feel like Ibn Fadlan among the Vikings going, this is a fascinating culture. Yes, that's exactly what it feels like. Like, I'm reporting on your culture as an outsider going, okay. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Holy shit. I'm an outsider. So I'm looking at it now. Yeah, this is it exactly. So you are the academic discipline. And that's the very first thing. The other thing is you seem to not have any idea what ethics are. You can feel them, you can sense them. You don't use the word almost ever. It's not until you're much, much older that you start to use the word, but parents with their children almost never talk about ethics, ever. Even in churches, they don't talk about ethics. So there's no real ethical education occurring. There is no ethical education. But you're all walking around feeling the need to be ethical, but no one can really agree on what that looks like or is. So there's a lot of ethical confusion happening, which really seems to be the majority of the problem, is the lack of ethical confusion, or the abundance of ethical confusion, which you would have if you actually obtained the academic discipline of the self, which is why that's first, is because that's the catalyst. Whereas with the Handbook of Narcissist, it's allow people to abuse you. Allow people to abuse you is literally the overall consensus. That is how to be ethical. Allow people to abuse you. That is what is in the Narcissist Handbook. And then it's all the ways you need to allow people to abuse you. And that's it right there. The only ethic is, do you allow people to abuse you? Because if you don't, you're unethical. And that is literally how narcissists think. That's how abusers, passive abusers and aggressive abusers, that's it. And I'm looking at people going, wow, the only ethic you really have is allow people to abuse you. And how ethical you are is measured on the metric, is evaluated on the metric. Do you allow people to abuse you? And you're unethical if you allow it, or if you don't allow it. Whereas you actually have no comprehension of what is good or bad, to the point where you confuse the words good or bad with ethical integrity. This astounds me. This astounds me. The majority of people in your world know so little about ethics that you assign ethical integrity on inanimate objects. Is this good or bad? Well, you're weighing in ethical integrity. It doesn't make any sense to me to hear people constantly evaluate ethical integrity on something that doesn't even have anything to do with ethics. And I'm going, if you are that ignorant on ethics that you can't even weigh in ethical integrity on the appropriate location, you are that ethically confused. And the reason why is because your entire ethical metric is Do you or do you not allow people to abuse you? And we're all back to, again, the education is that bad because it's not about you, it's about them. So your education, according to the Narcissist Handbook, is all about everybody else. It's about your government. It's about your family. It's about your teacher. It's about the government. It's not about you. It is not at all about you. This was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where the man, Robert, made a comment to his father, his poor dad, that education was about a person learning. And the teacher who worked for the US government said, no, it's not. Your education is about you getting a job and serving the government. That's what your education is about. That's why the US government has it out there. The teacher, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I read that and I went, I came from a different school, a very different school. And we're back to, again, allow people to abuse you. So now I get people who are claiming they're educated. And this is the other thing, is the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is substantial. It is a pandemic, and it is everywhere. They are so uneducated that, aside from the ethical and confusion, they brag about opinion like a badge of honor. They think opinion is honorable. They can't agree on the word or definition for truth. They don't even know what logic is. The majority of people can't even define or recognize love. Truth is undefined or has the most definition to it. They are completely without integrated mathematics. I don't even know how you guys can function. And when they're taught scarcity mindset in place of economics, they're too uneducated to even realize they're being taught scarcity psychology to encase them in poverty. And you can't even get through any of them because we're back to Dunning-Kruger effect. So there's a substantial surplus of ego to preserve ignorance, arrogance, and opinion while bragging about this status, while being too ignorant to even know that an opinion is an embarrassment. Too ignorant to know that an opinion is an embarrassment. And I'm looking at it going, and you seem to be mostly concerned about just making sure that people are allowed to abuse you. That seems to be the only focus in your life, is literally allowing people to abuse you. That's it. Like, that's your only priority, is so long as people are allowed to abuse me so I can be ethical. And I'm looking at all of this going, I don't know what to do. This is the majority of most people right here. This is the majority. This is the, I'm niching down. That's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at this going, I can't even begin to, because ego, there's no learning here. So I have noticed that there is a group, and this is it right here. There is another group of people where they've already figured this out. So there's the people who have this figured out and they don't know me or they don't need me. And then there's the people who haven't figured it out and they're not going to. And I'm looking for the people in between. That's what I'm doing. I am looking for the people in between. The people in between. And this is where I can't quite figure them out. And I have a few people like this where they just need a nudge. And I'm trying to imagine what those people are like, so I can start putting them in the forefront of my mind. And this whole thing is just, it's highly complex. It is so fucking highly complex. There are so many pieces, and I'm just trying to integrate to simplify, integrate to simplify, integrate to simplify. That's why we integrate to simplify. Yeah, logic is the art of simplification. So I'm looking at all of these components, and I'm just, so that's where I am right now. That is like, that's where my research has me stopped, is literally the marketing of this massive thing. And that's it really in a nutshell. Is I finished up my research. I on occasion will come up with something new, so I'll post it over at onaimagination.com. And I've got my book world. I have my playground. And I'm just, I feel stagnant on my ship. And this is it right here, is I feel like I have a heading, but I can't figure out which path I'm going to go. I've got journey A and I've got journey B. And I've got a whole lot of people with pre-made packages going, oh, you got to go journey A. And I'm going, yeah, that's not going to work for me because what I've got here is different. And I wasted way too much time with those people, listening to them. And there's a whole art form of using discernment on when you should allow someone contact with you. Not even contact, but when you should allow someone to educate you. And this is a skill I am fucking mastered in, is having the ability to assess somebody's expertise and qualifications to determine whether or not they are allowed to teach me. This is something that I mastered this fucking thing at 12 years old. This is an old hat for me. So to say I am a pro at knowing when someone is qualified to teach me, I figured this out when I was 12. That's why I fired the US government's educational system from the job when I was 12. So I'm looking at it going, yeah, I have 30 years of mastery on knowing when someone is qualified to teach me. And there it is right there. There it is. Yeah, I don't just have 30 years. I have 30 years mastery on this subject. So I can assess when someone is educated. Oh, can you tell if somebody's educated more than you or not? Can you tell? Do you know how? Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this right in Pando. Do you know how? This is it right here. This is the question. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay, so question for the group. Do you know how to tell if someone is more educated than you? Do you know how to determine if someone is qualified to teach you or not? And that's really it. This is it. Yes, I can. I can tell in a heartbeat if somebody is qualified enough to teach me. I use their language. Their language tells me. Their language tells me. All language tells everybody everything. If you know how to speak the language. All of this is going to break down to language. And yeah, I figured it out. I broke the code. So I went, all right, so I can listen to somebody speak, assess their educational level, and go, you're not qualified to teach me. And 100% of the time that I decide to open that door and examine it, I'm right because it's logic. So I'm going, all right. And then I go over here and I do it again. And I will walk into a conversation with somebody. And then there's the question of, well, do they have a hodgepodge of information? Do they have maybe they're an expert over here, but not over here? And now that's an interesting question, is what if they are an expertise over here and you're wanting that information? And here's what I say to that. This is why you need to know how the academic disciplines are interconnected. Because if somebody is an expert in A, but they suck at B, they are not going to be matched in qualifications to A. It means they're not integrating the lesson in order to perceive it properly. So let's say you have a linguist, and the linguist has not studied logic. Now, I have studied linguistics and logic, so I know how they integrate into a whole nother subject. So now I've got a linguist. Now, I haven't studied the terminology because the terminology is not relevant. The method is what matters. I don't know what you guys call all of the fucking stupid shit you guys call it. I really don't. That's where I struggle 100% of everything. I was doing the Cartesian coordinate system 3 years before I even heard about the Cartesian coordinate system. So that when I finally found the Cartesian coordinate system, I went, I know what that is. Same thing with tit for tat strategy. I had the mathematical formula for tit for tat strategy long before I had the term tit for tat strategy. You guys are obsessed with your stupid little labels. So if you know the label to a method, you think you're smart. I see that all the time. And I have no interest in the labels. So when I sit down with professionals and we start carving over my knowledge, one of the things we pull out frequently is the realization of, oh, Anna already knows it. She just didn't have the name for it. And then they ask where I got it because I didn't study it from their system. And then I explain the journey of how I reverse engineered it at a certain point in the academic journey and where it came up in the academic journey. So this is basically what's going on is when Descartes, I had the name right. I was thinking Cartesian. I thought I called him Cartesian for a minute there. When René Descartes, the philosopher of the 16th century, reverse engineered the Cartesian coordinate system, it is because he went through the academic discipline of the self and he reverse engineered it out of nature and then put it on paper. Same thing with Euclid. Euclid reverse engineered because he was that advanced, but he was that advanced in the 20th or in like the 4th BC century. Pythagorean was that advanced in the 4th BC century. Descartes did this back or forward in the 1600s. That's how far behind Descartes was. Now, it's also when he lived, but that's you get to see the stunted growth of, we invented all of this really awesome shit, we discovered all of this really awesome shit in the 4th century and also, in the 4th century BCE, but then there was a gap, dark ages occurred. So then there was nothing until the 1600s. That's why it's called the Age of Enlightenment, but it's really not. It's really not, because those were flukes. There was a surge more so than usual, but look at how many, and what it was somebody figured out, the 12 ethics were released. Da Vinci found the 12 ethics and started to pass it around. So they started passing around the 12 ethics in the 16th century. That's the Age of Enlightenment. But if you look at how many of these people actually graduated, how many of them actually went on to unlock the great mysteries of the universe, to reverse engineer it, they've got the 12 ethics. But that's not what school systems were based on. You guys were following a different school system, a completely different school system. And so now you had two schools that were out in the 1600s. You had one group that was producing Renaissance men because they were going through the fucking school. And then you had others who were just studying about. So you can study about or you can do. And that's the difference. I didn't study about. I did it. Everybody else in the world just studied about it. And that's the difference. When you study about it, you're not learning. When you do it, you're learning. And when you do it, you can reverse engineer your intuition. So I got to this point, and it was this massive, it all wrapped up. And it was just constantly reverse engineering everything out of Mother Nature. And I was there's the science of it, but there was this personal journey. And I never talked about the personal journey. I never talked about the personal journey of the science when I went through it. I was so focused on just get the science, figure out the universe. I was just trying to break the code of my brain so I could fix my brain. But when I did that, I realized, how far can this go? How much can I control this? And I went through a period where I was terrified. Oh God, I was so scared for so long. Because I was seeing how fast I was changing. And I was looking at the rate of my change and growth, and it wasn't slowing down. I feel like I have no purpose. That's what this feels like. You actually have 3 life purposes. And I found 3 life streams, like 3 threads. I found the self, I found the dream, and I found this other part that I'm still working on. And when I completed the self, I had Formula A. And then all I did in the last 2 years was work on the next formula. And it was the dream. And when I was done, I looked at the formula and went, oh, it's formula A. And then I went, because formula A is also cell mitosis. And formula A is also plant fertilization and reproductivity of cultivation. So plant cultivation. And I went, wait a minute, formula A for the self and formula A for the dream is also cell mitosis and plant cultivation. Well, that's 4 data points. And now I have the life formula, literally the life formula. And I just stepped back from all of that. And it was an amazing day. This was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And I put it on my website. I drew it all out and I'm like, okay, it's there. You guys can go look at it. And I'm just this massive step back. And now I think this is what I'm trying to say is I have been doing this for so long that now it's over and I don't know what I'm doing. I know the calling and that's still there. But yeah, no, this is it. Is my research is over. And I know I'm going to have more because I can feel the ontology thing, but I'm in an in-between. You have no idea how disorienting this is for a scientist. For a scientist to not have research to work on is like, I don't know what to do. I'm not at a blackboard today or a whiteboard. I don't know what to do. And that's it. That's it. I am a scientist without research right now. And this is the part where I'm supposed to sit back and enjoy, which could be research. That could be a lot of fun. And I don't, I am really struggling with this because it's like this whole switching mode. And I don't want to be doing research. I do want a break from research. It's been a really, and I've set out everything that I set out to solve. And right now I have one logical code that I'm working out. So I'm, and that's really it. I just have this one logical code. It's so weird because I've had like massive projects, huge projects, like 10 of them, and they're all gone. And I'm like, oh, this is really chill. And I'm just, my mind is my own again. And that's so fucking weird. I like one of the quests I was on, I've had since 1984. What is love? I got that. And then in 1992, I got to throw in the, who am I? Where am I going? Why am I here? And then in 1995, I had the whole archetype and God question. Who is God? And then in 1995, I said, what the fuck happened with the Dark Ages? That bothered me. No one noticed that shit. And I'm going, why the fuck aren't you guys all noticing it? Now I know why. I couldn't understand that. What the fuck? The Dark Ages? Huge. And I'm going, and when, yeah, the Dark Ages. Like, what the fuck happened? Dark Ages, what the fuck? So that's when I asked that question. Oh, that one drove me nuts. What the fuck happened with the Dark Ages? That made no sense. There is nothing more illogical than the Dark Ages. And no one caught it. And I'm going, how can you not see it? It's so fucking obvious. And I sat there, and by the time I got to that section of school, I was already like 3 years into the research, analyzing it because I'd already figured out the question. But I'm sitting here watching everybody else, and they're just oblivious. And I'm like, and I bombarded my teacher. I'm like, what happened with the Dark Ages? Oh, they just happened. Don't tell me they just happened. You don't go from a society like that to a society like that What happened? Well, Rome fell. No, it didn't, because I studied Rome falling. It didn't fall. It evolved and it rebranded itself. This thing did not fall. What the fuck happened? And these people don't just fall. Look at their military skills. They are too skilled to just fall. They weren't even showing any of the symptoms of a falling society. Did you notice? No, you didn't. You're not educated enough. You didn't even notice that Rome was not following any of the society is collapsing symptoms. And if you want to know what it looks like, look around. It is a breakdown of education. Rome didn't have that. It is a complete loss of economy with inflation and recession. Rome didn't have that. Rome didn't have, it was a shrinking middle class. Rome didn't have that. You do, but Rome didn't. So I'm looking at it going, Rome didn't fall. There were no symptoms of a falling society. These people were fucking educated. They knew their shit when it came to running a society, unlike us. And I'm looking at it going, what the fuck are they doing? Why is no one noticing this? And the teachers were too uneducated to even notice this. The economists. So I'm just like, okay, all right. I think I'm back on my spaceship having that question. There is no sign of intelligent life here. All right, what is the plan? Do we abandon them? What if there's a few of them out there who are smart enough? What if? And there are. I know there are some. All right. Well, what would you propose? I would propose a plan. I kind of want those headbands with like little thingies that are toggling. I would love that right now. We would need a plan. Really what we would require. No, I've already done it. I've already done it. You basically need a new educational system. That's what you need. You need a new educational system. I don't think I've ever said that before. I know it. I built it. I did it. And I went, yeah, that's what you need. You need a new educational system. So that's what triadic healing is. It's the new educational system. And it's free. Go get it. So that would be the first thing, is they would need a new educational system. They would need a purified standard. One that is completely void of abuse. They would require a purified ethical standard and new educational system. Okay. What else would they need? They need to learn how to become resource generators. This whole consumer bullshit has got to stop. That is painful. So they would have to become resource generators. The consumer has to end. Well, consumer is just toxic, and that's a whole. So resource generators need to be trained. You need cultivators put back. There's no cultivators in this country. There's no cultivators in the world. So you're lacking your cultivators. Okay. So they need a new educational system. They require a purified standard that is void of abuse, where they can go in and go, oh, that's what it looks like. And then you have resource generators that are trained and cultivators. That is it. That is what you need. That is exactly what you need. That's it. New educational system, the purified standard void of abuse, the resource generator. All right. All right. And now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to train cultivators to become resource generators by giving them a purified standard where they can learn the new educational system, which is what Pando is. That's exactly what Pando is. There it is. I train cultivators to become resource generators. I see what the future is going to be. by providing them with both a purified standard void of abuse and the new educational system. Okay, this now makes sense. So the Pando I have is actually a coaching space, not a coaching space. It's a scouting space where I can look for people and see if somebody is in the running or not. Because the people who get my attention in that group, I pull them. Like I not pull them, but we talk. And then I give them assignments and I move them around. That's it right there. That is it right there. That is it right there. Pando is my training ground. That is what Pando is. Pando is my boot camp. Pando is my boot camp. All right. It's my ethical boot camp. There it is. Pando is my ethical boot camp, but I am not going to be running it. The people who run it are actually the people who are in. Its members have to learn. There it is. That's fascinating. Pando is not a chat room. It is not. You can chat, but yeah, it is like we have space for all of that. And we have space for literally everything. However, what we don't do in there is, yeah, it's fascinating. I'm learning this. Yeah, I don't do, there is no opinion. There is no opinion. There is no opinion when you come into Pando. Because again, you're back at the arrogant, ignorant opinion cycle. Yeah, that's it right there. And yeah, the student rule number one, you know nothing. You know nothing. There you go. Student rule number one, you don't know a goddamn thing. And if you're going to immediately flout your arrogance, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? What is your purpose? So I need to write up a set of, I hate the word rules. I really hate the word rule. Rule is a metric. Ooh, look at that. Rule you. How about if they're called a metric? Why the fuck are we calling it? Because it used to be a ruler, as in a metric. See, this is the kind of shit that people are so ignorant that they lose. So they think ruler is to rule. It's supposed to be a metric, guys. That's why it's called a metric ruler. It's a measurement. You're supposed to be setting the standard. So a rule is a standard because you're supposed to be defining the quality. See, this is where this is really okay. All right. So this is it. I have to define the quality. I have not defined the standards or the quality. There it is. And I have to have this in two places. I have to have it upon arrival, and I have to have it before arrival. There it is. Okay. So that is a good start right there. Yeah, I feel like my ship is not going anywhere. I feel like that one time in Muppet Treasure Island when they start to sing Cabin Fever. It's what I feel like right now. Cabin Fever. I can feel the spiral around me, just, and I'm just in the middle, and I'm going, cool. And there's this point of no pull. Do you have any idea how fucking weird that is? You know that feeling your whole life where you have to go towards something? Well, that's what you're going. That's truth. That's the point of comprehension pulling at you. And the closer you get to it, the stronger it's going to get. But as soon as you get here, it goes away. I do not live with a pull on me. As soon as I got here, it went away and I went, well, this is weird. So I just stand and I feel like there is no, I got to go over there. There's none of that. There is none of that. Now, if I stop using the 12 ethics, I can feel this and oh, no. I can feel it. Oh God, do I feel? So I'm like, nope, I'm going to be right here. And that's how I know when I'm like using the 12 ethics, is because I can feel it doing this. And I'm like, nope. It's called triangulation. So, and when you're right where you need to be, there's no, you're self-propelled, but you can't even feel it. It's like when you're in a jet and you're going 3,000 miles an hour and you can't even feel it. That is what this feels like. I can't feel it. And I'm going, whoa, why can't I feel it? I know why I can't feel it. It's physics. It's the same reason why there's no time here. So I'm sitting in this place, and that's what I feel: urgency. I feel this time. And this is so weird for me because I've been trying to figure this out all morning. And I think it's because of the clock. I have an index card over my camera, so I can't see if and when people are watching me. I cannot watch when people are or are not watching me. I cannot watch that. And apparently watching the timer click causes me great anxiety also. And it's funny because I felt that way yesterday, and I'm like, why do I have time urgency? Where's that coming? And I look, and it's like, oh, that would be why. And I'm in the whole mindset. This is it right here, is I'm in the mindset like I used to be with, do a 30-minute video, shut it down, do a 15-minute video. And I would sit there and talk. And while I'm talking, I was watching the timer going, okay, now I'm at 15 minutes. And whenever it got to 30, I would have this massive emotional pressure. And I would go, oh my God, is this going to be a 45-minute video or not? And it's one of the reasons why I decided to do live all the time. And was because it allowed me to just stop focusing on the time. And then I'm looking at morning shows and how structured they are. And I know I am not structured right now. I'm well aware of that. And it's one of the things that I'm trying to get to is structuring. And that, I think, is really what this is all about right now today, is I am wanting to get structured. And I don't know what the structure is. The structure is currently undefined. And I think that's what's bothering me with this, is I get on there and I'm like, okay, I haven't found the structure yet. So I am literally in the pursuit of the structure. And I have the urge to be here live indefinitely. So I'm probably going to stop here in a minute, and I'm probably going to go get, I'm definitely going to go get something to eat. And oh my God. Oh no, it's Monday. All right. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I have my Pando meeting. So that's it right there, is rules and standards. So I have an idea how to do it. And this is the problem, is there is so much, like, this is about ethics. Over and over again, we're going to keep coming down to these ethics. We don't know what is ethical. We don't know what is right and wrong. We don't know what is good and bad. And the moment you accept that, the easier your life is going to get. So I analyze this. This is what philosophers do. We study and analyze ethics. And I'm looking at them going, okay, this is what's good and bad. Here's the ethics. Now you've got a lot of people who want to argue, who want to debate. Oh, I want to talk about what is ethical, what is good and bad. Okay. Well, there are prerequisites available. And that's it right there, is one of my rules is I am not available for discussion on the 12 ethics. I am $500,000 a day for consultation. And like, just to give you an idea, I am not the kind of person who's going to sit down and educate one-on-one people who won't even do the fucking work. And I'm looking at it going, why would I give you my time if you won't even do the work? And that's it right there. Why would I give you the time? And this is where teachers are really dumb, because they give their time without anyone doing the work. Like, that's how backwards your shit is. And I feel like an alien. I remember that episode of Big Bang Theory when Sheldon is my spirit animal. When Sheldon goes to the Renaissance Fair and he's like, I don't understand. I did this. I sat there and went to the Renaissance Fair and I analyzed, did they even have that food back then? Why would they have a turkey leg in that location when in that location they were in Europe and turkeys didn't even exist? I was that person at the Renaissance Fair. So when I'm watching Sheldon Cooper sit there going, they had hot dogs and corn dogs. And why were you even doing with corn dogs? And that didn't even make sense. And they finally said, why don't you go as Spock next time on a mission where you are exploring a primitive civilization? That I can do. So that's where I'm at. That's where I think I need to be. Is I come in peace. I'm an alien from another planet. Oh, I'm totally doing this. I'm an alien from another planet. All right, we're going to try these. We're going to try these mood cards. I'm going to try mood cards. I'm an alien. You are an alien. It could be like Things from a Hat. Oh my God, I love that. Things from a Hat. We're going to do Things from a Hat. You are an alien from another planet called Abstractic. Called Planet Abstract. I am from Planet Abstract. Oh my God, I'm going to so fucking love this. I really want those little alien bouncy ball things. So, Planet Abstract. I am from the Planet Abstract. And I come in peace. I love this. I come in peace. And I'm analyzing. I bring gifts from the future. And I really do. I have gifts from the future. And I'm just going, we have observed your planet. You guys are so fucked. And it's like, all right. So why would I give you the time if you won't even do the work? So that's where I'm at. That is where I am. And here's the thing is rule number 1, I literally have created a 0 excuse zone. You have no excuses, because what I did when I built my program was I found all of your excuses and I removed them. I literally did something so that every one of your excuses is now gone. You have no excuse. You've got the resources. They're free online. Unless you can't read. If you can't read, you're fucked. That's it. Bottom line. If you can't read, you're fucked. Go find somebody who can help you read. That's it. That's it. Everyone else, you have no excuse. Because there's public libraries where you can go to the internet. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. So that's the first thing I did. I removed all the excuse from everybody. The second thing I did was I literally provided 100% of a walkthrough. It's done. So now I'm looking at it going, you have no excuse and you've got a walkthrough with all the resources and supplies. And you still won't do it, but you want to talk to me. No. So Anna does not talk to people. Like I am not there to talk to people. That's it. Bottom line. I am not there to talk to people. I am not there to talk to people. I'm very picky about who I talk to. And that's it right there. I just have really stupid standards on who I talk to. So that's it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the introduction. And yes. All right. I have an idea what to do now. Yeah. I'm feeling much more divided. So I think that's it really, is there's no structure defined with this yet. And there needs to be. I have not defined. So this is it, is whenever you go out to do any kind of a project, what you are really doing is assessing for all the holes in your troubleshooting. And that's That's part of it. And that is exactly it. And a lot of people don't do this. They throw everything together. They go about their work. It all falls apart. And then they put out fires. Don't put out fires. If you are putting out fires, you have not learned enough logic. So this is how I do it. Yeah, there's another one. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. How I do it is I throw myself into the deep end of the pool. And then I do it for a short period of time. And then I step back and I analyze, okay, what were the problems? And then I identify the problems. So, and this is exactly what a beta does. So after you identify the problems, then you basically solve the problems. You implement, and then you do it again. When it runs smoothly, you've got it. So I am not running smoothly right now, not running smoothly. And it does not help that, like when I'm doing research, I'm running smooth. But that's what I've mastered is research mode. So now it's like, how do I live without research? Okay, I'm going to be all right. It's all right. I mean, I can do this. How do I live without research? Life after research. I have never been here before. Life after research. I just don't know what to do with this. So this is me trying out a whole new territory. I want to play. I want to play. That definitely is like, I want to go play. I want to go play. Okay. I'm going to go play now. I'm so excited. And every time there's a logical code like this and a logical conversation, you have to get to a certain mindset. But in order to get to the mindset, you have to have the conversation with a logical order of operations in order to understand the new mindset. But people go, I'm just going to manifest. So what are you doing? Stop doing that. You're abusing your poor subconscious mind. So this is how I do it. Is I go through the logic. So you can either, and this is it. You go through the logic. And then you build the code, and then you have the mindset. So you really want to know what I'm doing with my videos? I am literally building the logical code for my mindset. That is exploratory dialogue. I am building the logical code for the mindset I want. So I have identified the mindset I want, A, and I'm going, oh, in order to do that, I need to put and build the code in place. So then I have the logical conversation in order to get to A, and then poof, there it is. So I am currently building the logical code to have the mindset of my choice. But in order to build the logical code, I have to comprehend it. I have to desire it. And it has to feel right, feel good, and give me joy. Which means it has to align with my desire, align with my ethic, and make me happy. So that's it. So just knowing which mindset you want, okay, but now you need logic, and then you need to build the code so you can comprehend it, desire it until it feels right. So, and sometimes it takes, and here's the thing, is it's all prerequisitional. So you have to make sure A is in place before you go to B, before you go to C. A lot of you are just, I want to have this mindset. I don't have 10 components, but I'm just going to be there anyway. So now you're working and putting all this energy to keep your mindset where it needs to be. And now you're exuding so much energy because you haven't gone the logical path. You cannot shortcut this. This is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. And that's the problem, is a lot of people are doing shit that is not sustainable. So I found a self-sustaining, low energy, high impact, high ROI healing program. There it is. Self-sustaining, low energy, high impact, high ROI, low to no risk. Actually, it's no risk because you're not paying for anything. You're just doing the work. So it's self-sustaining, low energy, high impact, high ROI, no risk healing program. What's your excuse? Because unless you can't read the prerequisites, you have to read. Like, there you go. So I think I have defined a couple of the problems. So now I know, yes, you are an alien from another planet. And the other thing is I think I have an associated response with YouTube, where I'm looking at YouTube and I'm going, oh, I have to go into this mode. And I don't want to go into this mode. I want to go into the storyteller mode. Where is my other things? Let me see if I can. Oh, here they are. Nope, those ones are. So where is my index cards? There they are. Okay. So that's one of my moods, is aliens from another planet, planet abstract. And I need to stay in the abstract. And then, yeah, tell your story. Tell your story. All right. I think I know what it is. I have to manipulate the psychological association. So I change my Pavlov dog response. I have to change my Pavlov dog response. That's what I've been conditioned. I need to uncondition, reformat that, and do another programming. So in order to do that, oh, I know how to do that. Basically, I have to focus and stay on topic and or shut it down if I stray. Okay. But I can't do that until I work out all the background. And the background is the logical code to get me to where I want to go. So I want to be happy, perky, awesome, going woo-hoo-hoo. And in order to get there, I have to work through the logical code to get there. The logical code is currently flawed and or non-existent, which is why I'm not there. So this takes precedence. Okay, I've got that figured out. All right, I know what I need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I'm going to be back here in about 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'm going to do like round 2. I might do that. I'm going to take a siesta. I don't know if it's going to be a siesta, but I'm going to go eat and just take a break. So I will be back here, and may the truth always find you.